Hope you guys can hear me. I think my mic's being stupid again tonight. Jared,
What up?
I forgot to tell you we're on at 6.
Yeah, I was sitting there and I'm just like, it kept telling me I'm backstage for like 15 minutes. I'm like, what the heck is going on?
No, the time has changed. I don't know. If people want me to come on 5, I'll come on 5. But 6, it's only 4 o'clock to the west.
Yeah.
So, or, and the times kind of stay the same if I go to 6 to the east.
Yeah, right.
So.
Yep.
Rowdy.
Howdy.
How's it going?
Oh, not bad. Been a busy day.
Well, me too. I had to frame a wall for my dad.
I basically did the same thing, except for it's for dogs.
Mine was 18 gauge metal studs, so they're real thick. Pain in the butt.
Mine was 2x4s and particle board.
I figured we'd talk about some equipment tonight. I figured we'd talk about some gear tonight, what to do to prep, because I kept hearing about this snowstorm that Chris Powell and all them guys got stuck in, and I had a whole different concept of what it was going to be. And then I read a little post from Chris Powell, and I guess they left dogs somewhere. The caretaker had a grader, got
the grader stuck.
Yeah, got a crazy amount of snow. Couldn't get up there. A few days later, they finally got a helicopter in there to one of the ranchers, or they had some help. Yes. I thought they was out hunting and then got stuck in a storm. But
yeah, they were like 6 miles away only, right?
Yeah, it wasn't that far away. It's just the pass got just plowed. Oh yeah, you know how them drifts are.
Yeah, they said something about had tracks side by sides too, but they were all in the barn at the where the dogs were.
Yep, you never know. You never know. I don't even think you could have walked in that hardly. I mean, you could have, but 6 miles, it'd have took you all day.
Oh, easy, waist deep snow.
The real hero of the show right here.
Jared?
What's up?
Good old Dustin. It just so happens we're talking about gear tonight, and what a coincidence. We got Cold Strike gear on.
Oh, hell.
How's that work out?
I don't
know.
How
does that work out? Well, I'm bad about it. I'm going to just go right out front and start this conversation. As I went out Monday, I had 2 cans of clams, some Fritos, 4 bottles of water. That was it. I didn't take my pack. I threw it all in my saddlebags. I didn't have extra water for the mule or the dogs because I was out of Games water. There was a game water up there, so I planned on going to the game water.
Yeah.
So, and when I ran something first. I just did I was doing these little circles, hitting these draws, coming up fingers, and started something. Dogs went up 1 cannon over. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to ride around and catch them. I waited and watched what they did, and they were just gone. Rode around. I said, well, I'll cut this canyon and come up it. And it kept opening and kept opening. I thought, dang, man, if it don't open, like I'm going to have to go all the way back down. But what I was doing was walking my mule up, kind of saving it. I could have probably rode up, but walking my mule up, kind of saving its energy. That way it could carry me back camp. Got all the way around, got in the bottom, greasewood, sand washes, sand. Got around to that game water to water everything, and man, I got to the big one. There was nothing in there. I'm like, wow.
Oh shoot!
And I heard the dogs drinking, and they had a reserve tank over there. And had some water in it, so got lucky. Mules. Them mules don't drink anyways. You try to make them drink, they just don't drink. Right, Brett?
I agree. Half the time.
Yeah, you can lead them to water, but you can't make them.
Yeah, it's like, God, just drink some water, man. Drink some water.
I was surprised. My last time, Bonnie drank some water out of the pond. It was just an old dirt pond, Was she must have been thirsty.
It had to be thirsty for her to drink.
She drank too. Not a whole
I
lot,
feel
but
like
she drank.
horses drink. Well, my horses would drink, but my mule, she don't drink.
I had those two guys come down hunt with me from I forget, they were from back east somewhere, and they were riding mules. And that one guy's mule would stick its head, I mean, that much of its nose down under the water. It was crazy.
Huh. Just to drink.
I guess he was drinking. I don't know what he's doing.
Trying to drown itself with a guy,
It
big fat guy.
looked
didn't want
like
to drink.
I got tickled. That was the same guy that it was in the wintertime, and he went, there was a mine hole, whatever there, and he went into it, and he came out 90 miles an hour running, and there was a bear right behind him.
Oh,
Of course, I got to laughing. Bear was just trying to get away from him. He wasn't trying to get him.
well, that's good.
Hello from Oklahoma, the red state. That's a
Yeah.
red
Solid
state.
red. I was impressed.
Yep.
There's only 2 states. Is Oklahoma and
West Virginia.
West Virginia that was solid red?
Yep.
Isn't
don't
West Virginia a little bit?
I don't want to talk about my state.
Arizona last year, or the last election, wasn't very good either. It was kind of bluish.
Well, let's
What
not
I
talk about
noticed.
because you know what I noticed about this election?
Mm.
That Trump's votes stayed the same, 65,000 or 65 million. Kamala got 62 or 3 or whatever it was.
Oh, it's higher than that.
Whatever.
I think he was at 74 and she was at 63.
Okay. But Biden got 81 in 2020.
Right. There's so many discrepancies, inconsistencies.
You're
Like,
talking a 15 million vote difference.
How can you have a state that's voting red, but then votes blue for the local elections?
Yep. It's just weird stuff like that, but oh well.
Oh well. There you go. Brett has a follower. No kidding, Brett. As you say, a bunch of brainwashed idiots here in New Mexico.
What'd they say? Wait, what I miss? Oh,
Comment.
sorry.
Thank you, baby.
It is a bunch of brainwashed idiots.
Anyways, he
The
won.
closer you get to Santa Fe, the more brainwashed they get.
He won, and we just hope he makes it to the inauguration. Everything
Right.
Did you
What if
hear
it
about
was-
all his plans? What he's planning on doing?
Oh, it sounds so freaking awesome.
I
see what happens. As long as he sticks to the plan, and I'm sure he will.
No.
Now, if we could just get him behind a set of hounds and make
Well,
every
boy-
state a right to hunt state, we'd be good to go.
His boy ran dogs.
Mhm.
Probably
He got in
get some of
trouble.
them can hunts, baited, but
He got in trouble, but it wasn't his fault.
no.
Yeah, he was with Lemon, right?
Yeah, he was with Wade.
Well, all of these guys that run with hounds, they run with these famous people, and it's probably better just to find a nobody
Hmm.
to run with.
Well, when you build up a good reputation and then you have a bad year, it's kind of like everyone's looking at you like, what the heck you doing?
Well, when you're guaranteeing your 100% catch,
Yeah.
and
That's a hard thing to do is 100%. I mean, you can't tell me you don't have a bad week.
Baby.
well, if you're guaranteeing it, that's going to probably open the eyes of a few people. So,
Yeah.
Well, a lot of guys,
Absolutely.
they just guarantee. They say you just come back as many times as it takes.
I've seen guys do that, but that's not a cheap hunt.
I think
Yeah.
Root does that if he
Yeah,
likes
Root-
you.
didn't he have a guy run 40 days?
Says he had a guy that came like 90-something days over a period of not consecutive before
Yeah.
he finally got him a lion.
But every
Oh,
time
man.
he'd leave, didn't he catch a lion the next day?
Yeah, he said he'd leave, and he said the next day he'd catch a lion for somebody else.
Oh man.
By then, you're just friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're not a client no more.
yeah. No, Mike. Mike's he's good about it with the guys he likes. He doesn't.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Like those guys from Texas, they were my first ever clients on my own business. And I told them, I was like, I'm never raising your guys' rate ever. Because last year I was running dirt cheap. I was charging $500 a day with a $2,000 kill fee.
How many days as long as you had somebody stay with you?
Usually, like them boys from Texas stayed 7
days.
7 days. But like I got a couple guys that hit me up this year and they want to do, father son deal, and I'm like, you guys got to come like at least 10 days for that.
How are you putting that on? Are you putting them on a mule? Are you putting them in a buggy or
Buggy?
buggy?
I can't afford the insurance right now for a horseback or mule.
Oh, does it cost a lot for?
Oh man, like so my insurance right now is $1,400 a year just with buggies and pickups. It goes up to like $7,000
I buy.
Golly.
for horseback. Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, it depends on who you go with for insurances, but that's the lady I go through. I think that's what she quoted me at for.
Well, you probably don't want no cheap insurance when it comes to somebody on a horse, I guess.
No. And I've dealt with her before. She's a nice lady, but yeah, because I'm still trying to get into stock animals, but for me to do it, I got to buy 4 at one time to make it worth something.
The trapping houndsman just reminded me I have to make a phone call.
Oh.
Yep.
I forgot all about it.
I don't think you're allowed to use marine radios, period, on land. Anywhere.
That's the way I understand it.
You're not supposed to.
How about if you stand over a creek?
Well, then you're on water.
I
Park
quit
in the
using
creek every time.
I quit using radios. I went straight to the inReach.
Oh, I gotta have the radio. I don't want to wait.
I mean,
I think that if you'd sprinkle holy water on you and the radio, nobody can say anything.
Probably.
Well, if you're gonna get pulled over, just pull it right in the middle of a pond. They can't do nothing about it.
I use the inReach, or not inReach, the Garmin Messenger.
okay.
You can just message. It's real fast too. You can message back and forth, no problem. And it just Bluetooths to your phone, to my iPhone. So it's real easy.
It's like we used to use radios, but like one time we got back to camp and we haven't like, where's Pete at? Like no one's seen him and it's dark. We haven't heard from him all day. He was buried to his hood, jackknife. Or he tried to turn around before the road got bad and he didn't make it. He was shoveling for like 4.5 hours trying to get out.
In the snow or in the mud?
Yeah, he's in the snow. This is in Nevada.
I think radios is a good plan, and then of course you have your inReach for backup.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you get into, cause, I mean we're usually pretty close in proximity, but and I have my King Kongs, which is like a Bofang, and then I have my Marine, and then I have my CB, and we jump channels. That way, those old green jeans can't keep up with us, or those other hound hunters.
Sissy.
I got radios in my truck that just do nothing but scan, so I can pick up everybody. So
I don't hunt with anybody, so I don't talk to anybody.
Yep.
That's me.
Yep.
Gonna say I don't either.
I hunt with like Cody Lynn, or so I got those Jing Tongs. They got bigger watts than the Bofang, so it's the exact same thing. They're about $69, I think.
Ain't too bad.
They go pretty far. They go far, and the batteries last all week. So,
nice.
Yep. I'll have Nick talk about it when he jumps on. He's the guru. I have a VHF radio, half for you. So and then when I have a CB in right now, and I have a General Lee, and it has side bands, lower side bands, but then I got a Galaxy 88 that has FM, AM, all your side bands, 5-channel jumps. A Galaxy
Do the
88.
CBs still fry your antennas or fry your handhelds?
No, I've never had it happen. But I'll turn.
I've heard of that. There's some radio band that.
What do you think, Benny?
This is the guy that would know that stuff.
I was going to tell Benny, what do you think? What radio do you use, Benny?
Well, I don't know, but when I had a CB, you can get somebody work on your CB, and you can use one of your knobs, and instead of just talking where you want, you can actually slide completely in between the channels.
I got one of Benny's old radios right here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Can you guys,
Hello,
can
everybody.
you guys hear me? Pull it tighter. I'm just kidding, Benny. I'm just kidding.
I was wondering
Nick.
where that went, you damn thief. I guarantee
Nick.
that too.
Nick is the radio guy.
How's it going, everybody?
Good. How you doing?
Going, Nick.
Good, Nick. How are you?
Doing good. Technical difficulties as usual. My computer wouldn't recognize my camera or my mic. So
That's
My-
that's what
my
happens
screen-
when you're a techie like that.
pretty much.
That's like
My-
a mechanic. His car won't start.
Exactly. My StreamYard wouldn't pick up my green screen, so I had to go to my OSB. So OBS.
Man, this is a high tech one tonight. Radio.
Yeah,
and
it
green
is. We are
screens.
talking about equipment, but if I don't have my green screen up, I'm in my other part of my trailer, and I haven't been in it for 2 months. So it's just I got all my stuff piled in here. So it's not just Jeremiah behind me. 20 miles a tower.
Brett, check
Oh,
it out. I'm
actually-
rocking
There's
the
Axel.
rocking your mug.
Oh,
Good man.
Got some frothy Guinness in it.
Woo, that sounds good.
That's how I got him
Oh, yeah.
on. Him and Dustin. Dustin's here somewhere.
All I see is a bear rug.
Yeah, he probably went to do something. He's giving away.
That's what
some
I use.
TT225.
That's what I use. Hiding out.
The bear rug.
Yeah.
All you got to do is turn around. Let's look at your
Yeah.
back. You look just like that,
I think
except
Well,
gray.
not that
Grizzly
bad.
to a
I
polar
don't know.
bear.
I don't know why it reminded me, but in the old days when I was married to another woman, I got in big trouble and I ran in the house and she was coming after me and my kids are like, "What's going on?" And I ran in the corner and I threw a blanket over myself and I stole the lampshade and I put the lamp on my head and hid in the corner like I was a lamp. And my ex-wife come in looking and yelling and my kids are like they're not trying to eyeball where I'm at, you know. And then I think I don't even remember what happened. I was scared to death. She walked out of the room, but my kids always bring that story up where I was a lamp. I turned myself into a lamp to hide from my ex-wife. But they tell that story so much, I try it with my new wife, and first thing she does is kick all the lamps over. We all use radios back east, but mostly I hunt solo out there. Well, back east, you guys got 18 trucks running around. You know, they'll keep coming after stuff like that and banning. I think some states you're not allowed to use radios. Was that California? Did they do that at one point?
I'm not sure about
What?
that one.
I think a lot of places you're not supposed to use radios to like coordinate drives and stuff for like big game
Oh.
hunting.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've never heard of it for hound hunting though.
I coordinate to
It wouldn't
Cody
make any
Lennon and say,
sense.
"Pick me up here," or "Pick me up there," or vice versa.
Yeah.
I can't wait till my kids are big enough that I can do that with them.
But I reckon a guy would need licensed equipment to be much effective. Let me tell you about the FCC. They used to be back in the 90s, the radio, like you could go down the freeway with your CB on and just chatter. You could talk all day long. And I used to turn my Roger beep on. So when you let off, it's all beep. And then they even have some stupid ones that say, you know, and them truckers hate Roger beeps. And you could start a fight by just Roger beeping down the I-40. But the FCC guys used to run around. You'd see them, and they have their little antenna trying to find out where you guys are trying to triangulate where we was from. But we was all running like killer bees, big 150 watt, you know, linears in our trucks, just plowing out some power. Good old days. But as far as them finding you, I probably should use the license, and they'll probably know now. But
You know, with ham radios, you can use them if it's an emergency. So you just got to scream "emergency" and then say
Mhm.
whatever you need to say.
emergency, pick me up here at the other road.
Who's to determine what an emergency is?
Yeah, it's like immediate threat to life or something. I don't know.
Life
It's
threat.
written out.
Listen, Tim, 150 watt. Is that all? you put 1,000 inside your truck, you better have your battery system and an isolator on your alternator to keep the other batteries running.
Well,
Nope,
and then
just 150.
you can cook hot dogs on your antenna that way.
Well,
pretty handy.
yeah, 100. No, I knew
Oh
a guy
my,
used to back
yeah.
into the ocean and throw a chain in the ocean to ground out his system.
Oh, geez.
You know.
Yeah, that's what they do
You
on
know,
sailboats.
Yep. And then those, but I had 150 watt, but all my buffers were cut on my radio, so it had work on it. You could put out. I would talk to Honolulu, Texas, California. You know, here in Sholo, when I'm in Sholo, if I get on a mountain with my Galaxy, every once in a while I get California, Texas, or Channel 6. There's this black dude that's funny as hell, and he's been on there for 30 years. You know.
Yeah.
But in the good old days, it was sideband. You had your lower sideband. Everybody was on lower sideband, and channel 36, 37 were the hot channels. You know, everybody knew everybody. It was cool back then. Now we got cell phones, and we sit at home with our heads up our ass, which is basically our phone. You know, and no one has fun no more.
Yeah.
So can you
all
still
the-
rattle off CQDX?
QDX, yep. They still do it every once in a while. Yep.
Well, the propagation stuff is crazy. Like with CB, that's why you can talk so far. Is whatever the atmosphere, the ionosphere is doing, the signal skips.
Oh,
so
yeah.
like I drove up. Yeah. And like I'm a ham radio operator. I'm like super into it.
Licensed. This guy's legal.
Well, listen, I don't really care about that. I would do it either way.
Yeah.
Allegedly. And I may or may not hunt with people who may or may not have their licenses. But I got the license just so I could do more stuff with it. Like I have, 100-watt radio. I have a 600-watt amp. And if you want to actually participate and talk to people, like you have to have a call sign. No one's going to talk to you. So, and I'm really into like all the, like digital. So I can hook my computer up to my HF, ham radio, and I can send text messages across like literally all around the globe just with a radio signal. And you can't really do any of that fun stuff unless you have your license. And honestly, the license is not that hard to get.
It's like $10, right? And you just like a stupid little test.
It's $35 and like $35, and it's like a 35 question test. So I got the second, I got the general license, which gives you, you can use all the lower frequencies that go far.
So to relate that to our topic
I like nerd
tonight,
shit. So yeah.
Oh yeah. To relate that, even when I went out Monday, I had nobody with me, but I always take my radio. And my radio's always in my chest pack, because if I do, everybody in my family has radio. Like we all have radios, the same radio, and we all have on the same channel, depending on what day it is. And so if I'm out there, I don't keep it on, but if I am out there and something happens, I can kick my radio on while I'm laying there. And all my kids, Cody Lynn, I'm going to tell you guys about Cody Lynn.
No,
stalker.
Maybe I missed this, but what kind of range do you have? I mean,
well, if I'm on a mountain, I could talk to Phoenix. You know what I mean? From 30 miles away. It just depends on, but if I'm in a canyon, let me tell you about Cody Lynn. It kind of goes into her. She's a stalker. This is one time I was headed to Globe. I was headed to California and I didn't tell her. And she has me a location on her phone. And I get texts all the time. Why are you over there? Why are you there? There you go. This is why right there.
There
guys.
You go. That's what I was thinking about. That's what I was getting at.
I just using it as a cover.
I was worried about you for a long time anyway.
Well, you never know.
You keep calling me and asking me questions and stuff.
What'd you do today, Brett? Where'd you go? Why are you out of service? I'm not picking you up. I mean, where are you at? But Cody Lynn's a stalker. She has everybody in the family on. We have iPhones, or even Snapchat has location, and man, she's real bad about it. Now, my son, who's a game warden, I said, you should give me your location in case something happens. I just want to know where that son of a bitch is. There you go. I don't trust that little bastard. He gonna get me. You're gonna get me one day.
Well, that Garmin Messenger has a tracker on it where you can,
Mhm.
and they can, like my wife could track me if I wanted her to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and I do have the inReach. You could hit SOS, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
I'm always
Why'd you
by
end up putting it?
myself.
Why'd you end up activating your service, Chris? Remember what
Okay.
happened?
No, man. How long did I have that? How long did I have that? A month? 2 months?
Like, well, you had a couple months, but yeah, one day Chris gives me a call and is like, "Hey, I've lost my Alpha. Help me find it." And I'm like, "Well, did you turn the inReach service on?" Well, no.
No.
And
Did
I'm
you
like,
hook
well,
it up to your other 200?
if you had the inReach service enabled, then you could just literally click a button on a website and it would show you exactly where your Alpha is.
Oh, no kidding.
Well,
What does it
doesn't
cost
have
to
be
get the
on for
in?
that?
Like $11 a month. If
Yeah,
Like the
there's
cheapest
different
little-
plans, but yeah,
the
it's like
cheapest one is
$12
like
a
11
month.
bucks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, up to like 50 something for unlimited everything.
I don't know why I worry. My agency pays for it anyways. See how I do this? And then when I bust you guys, I say, "You guys knew I was undercover the whole time, you stupids. You
I just got
brainwashed
the new one.
idiots."
I just got the new one, and this one you can actually send pictures and voice messages over satellite.
No kidding. I
Yeah,
need to
so-
upgrade.
I sent the world's first bobcat picture in a tree over satellite this weekend.
I could have.
Can you just say I was the first one you sent it to?
I could
I
have
think
took
I
a
got that
picture of a javelina
No, I sent
running
it-
out in front of
no,
my
I sent
dogs
it to-
today.
No.
Yeah. I just sent it to another person who had a inReach, so it went purely over inReach.
Yeah.
I can't prove that I was the first one to do it, but I'm declaring that I was the first one to do it, and anyone can challenge me on that. They would have to prove it.
There you go.
I-
There's your
I'm
challenge.
going with it. I'm
And
going to tell
if you could
everybody
prove
that.
it, if you could prove it, Dustin will give you a TT 225 or 25. No, he's already
I'll
given
give you a
away one.
shirt.
You
Yeah.
guys getting smothered with your stories of cold strikes giveaway all day long. Every time I open my Facebook,
Oh, I saw that.
Instagram, share.
Yep.
Got to get it out there.
Got to get that saturation.
That's right.
But good stuff to have. Radio. You should have radio, and you should have someone. In the old days, my grandfather,
I'm not going to pack a radio.
Hermit. Well, I got my chest pack. Man, I love my chest pack. That's just goes to another piece of equipment. I even told Dustin, I said, "Hey, you ought to carry chest packs. Find some." I love mine. It holds my radio, and it holds my Garmin, and it holds my two GoPros, holds my bullets. I got all my knives, my flashlights. I hardly carry a pack because I got that when I'm on my mule. Because then I put all my water in my saddlebag.
Yeah, but that's a lot of weight hanging off the front of your chest.
It's not. Maybe I'm just used to it. You
Could be.
know, when I carry all my other gear when I'm on duty, I'm used to it. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I love my chest pack. I've had a couple different
like
ones
mine.
now, and
I'll
finally
send you the
found one.
one. I'll send you the one. I had a smaller one, and then I found this one, and your 300 fits perfect in it. And I feel bad because Jeremy made me. He made me a leather case, and I don't want to ruin it. And I just kind of got it on display in my office. You know.
yeah, this one is pretty dorky, and I get made fun of a lot because it's like super tactical, but
That's what mine looks like.
If I got on
Yeah.
my mule with that thing, she'd throw me off.
but it's got, so I was actually because I had another one that was just like a really basic pouch, but it hangs off the front. It really weighs you down like when you fill it up. But this one's got two different straps. It's got a lower, like a lumbar strap, so it keeps it sucked into your body really nice. And then I was actually going to make one because I like sew and stuff. And so I was gonna design one
marry
and
him.
make one. Just ask, man.
One day.
But I'll make one, and then I was
Nobody
just
wants that.
looking around for different ones. And this one has these two pockets on the side that fit my radio perfectly and my Alpha perfectly.
Hmm.
And it's got another
It looks like you should be wearing one of those little black helmets with that too.
The pilot.
I've thought about wearing a helmet when I hunt because I fall down a lot.
I've needed one. I guarantee it.
There you go.
There it is. There we go.
Perfect.
That's what happened. That's what he has to wear when he comes home late. Yep. Gear. Look. Oh. Hey,
I'm
you
also
don't ever
I like
know.
fanny packs too. I have a this is like my everyday carry fanny pack. I'm
A
not
tactical
ashamed.
fanny pack.
Yeah, pretty much.
You remember
I
the
added
old days?
an extra pouch on it to put my phone.
Hey, listen,
You
Joe
know,
Rogan loves
Got to
a
stay
fanny
prepared.
pack.
Yep.
I don't think I'm going to make fun of him.
Looks like you're about to play Call of Duty live. No,
Pretty much.
I like
It's-
my
it's
chest
like-
pack.
Yeah, it's like Call of Duty with hounds. You know.
Yep. When you get used to it, it's like you just get used to it.
Yeah.
Like in my truck, I have my tactical vest, my real one, and then I have my bulletproof vest, and then I have my chest pack. So always
My whole
carry
thing is
all the
like,
time.
I just want to have some. I don't know. I'm always worried about like driving my truck off a cliff, falling down and breaking my leg. And I just like the idea of having some essentials on my person and like, you know, like my inReach and my radio and stuff in case I screw up really bad.
Yeah.
My gear
I rode
pack
my
at
horse
work-
off a cliff one time, but it was just down through the bluffs.
Oh, just the bluffs.
Yeah.
sounds fun.
I had a horse fall down a cliff and roll over me once. Does that count?
That'll happen.
Been
It
there.
does.
Since the story will probably come up, I had one buck me off up in the mountains one time.
It blew up on him, guys. It was
God, it was bad.
Benny.
He
Just tell the story, Benny. Tell him how ridiculously awesome
He
and
was-
dangerous.
He was just showing off. He did cartwheels and everything.
I was showing
Don't
my,
forget the
I was
blue.
showing my athletic ability.
Trying out the U.S. Olympic team
Uh,
for gymnastics.
And John Klump looks back there and says, "What the hell are you doing screwing around and lollygagging? Let's go."
lollygagging.
Lollygagging like your dogs are.
Yeah, it's just something we do.
Backpacks are a pain. Always have to take off to get what you need.
Yeah.
I rather wear when we free cast and she drops me off. I'll sometimes take my backpack, but the thing I got in my backpack honestly is my I got a poncho and maybe some water and my leashes. Really, it's just for my leashes, and I got my straw, my live straw and all that little stuff. But
We didn't. I mean, I told my grandson today we hit a track, and the dogs went up this real rough canyon, real up to some flat tops, and I guess I'm not near as prepared as you guys. I just turned around and looked at him, and I said, don't ever leave the truck without your water and your weapon, and was kind of. Now I feel like I gave him bad advice. Maybe he needs all this other stuff.
I make my kids carry a knife and a lighter. It's just all you need is your knife. And
Well,
lighter.
we always have a knife on us. I
Mhm.
mean, that's something, you
Yeah, I
don't leave
didn't
the
know
house.
that
You don't
that
leave the
was-
house without a knife in your pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every good
My-
Mexican has at least one knife.
Exactly, real shiny one.
Yeah.
Cajun too. I've got
I got one of these.
Yeah. What
Oh,
does
go
old
ahead.
Brent Reeves say? Carry one for you and one you let someone borrow.
Oh yeah.
nobody bars
Just-
mine.
I was gonna say I
Just to
don't.
make the fight even.
Yep.
I got one of these Leatherman
Yep.
Skeletools. And this thing is so handy. It's got the pliers, but it's got a screwdriver on it. And that
There you go.
screwdriver comes in handy all the time.
I carry a
I-
Leatherman.
I have a Leatherman in my candle bag. I carry all the time. I think it's a Wave or something like. I don't know. It's a fancy one. It's got all that stuff. And then I got fencing pliers. I carry that on a pouch on my back cinch,
Oh,
just
I
in
call-
case you have to go through a fence.
I call,
somewhere.
I call those my gate key.
Build a cowboy gate.
Yeah,
yeah.
just. You can I haven't done it with this mule, but the other ones you pop down those top two strands and hop your mule. A lot of guys have mules, I guess, that'll jump a 5-strand fence. I just pop the top two strands down, tie them to the third strand, hop them over. Agnes
I
just
just-
stepped over.
Just don't know if I want to jump a 5 strand out in the middle of nowhere just in case she hangs up. Then you're screwed.
How tall
That's
is
why
a
you have
5
those
strand?
pliers.
5
About 4
strand
foot.
is 4 foot, 4.5 foot. Yeah.
Supposed to throw, carry a tarp, canvas tarp,
Yep.
and throw it over. I've got one of those Australian raincoats. It's like canvas.
Slicker.
Yeah, it weighs like 150 pounds, I think. But I carry it a lot. I don't think it's ever rained on me in this New Mexico here, so I don't. Never used it.
I used to just take my Carhartt off and throw it over the fence and jump my mule over.
Do you have one that jumped 5 strand?
Yeah.
That's
Is that
nice.
the one in the pasture?
Jump
Yeah.
it whether you wanted to or not.
Most of the time he was running away from him. Justin, I'm not going to
Brett,
let you
it's
be
a good
quiet
thing.
this time.
Hey,
It's a
now.
good thing Tyler
I'm
doesn't
just
know
enjoying.
Nicholas. If Tyler Klump met Nicholas, you would be stripped of your title with Tyler, Professor Gadget.
I do like gadgets. It's one of my greatest weaknesses.
Yeah, everybody's got
Can't
their
leave the
thing.
gadget alone.
When I was in the mountains, I carried a day pack all the time. When I went out, I just tied it on my saddle. And then I also had I made fun of you, but I had a vest thing that had, what do you call it? Molly all over it.
Yeah.
Then I had all these different kind of pouches that you could hang on it. It was all right. I still got it in there in the other room.
Doesn't I think George, doesn't he use like a turkey vest or something? Or like a game bird vest? That seemed like a good way to do it.
I don't know.
Kind
That's
of
kind of what
lightweight,
mine
but you
looks like.
yeah.
Well,
I have a Blacks Creek guide gear pack. It's a pack frame pack that I carry. I like that a lot. It's not real big. It only weighs about 4 pounds unloaded, and then loaded down, I probably 15-ish pounds.
is that just a backpack, Jeremy, or is that a chest pack?
No, it's like a game bag. It's got a Garmin pouch, a pouch for my thermal, a big zippered pouch, pouch for your phone, squaller pockets, water bottle pocket on the back, and then I've got a game bag on it just to
There you go.
even out the weight.
Cold
Justin,
strike
you
gear.
selling any of that yet?
Am I?
Yeah.
I just sell leather ones right now. I've been looking into the chest packs, but I'm one of those guys that I'm lucky if I get a bottle of water in my back pocket when I leave the truck. As long as I got my GPS in my leather one, and I got my pistol. And if my kids come, they all have those little QU backpacks that are just like real small. They can hold like 4 bottles of water and some snacks, and they take those. But I'm bad. I just get so focused on going.
I get excited. Yeah.
I think
If
most
I'm on a
hound guys
mule, different.
are. I think most hound guys just kind of go and think they're going to survive no matter what happens. I don't think we plan for something bad to happen, but I'm real. Like, I don't wear chaps. I just get on my mule, throw my saddlebags on, and I shove some sunflower seeds in it and oysters, and I'm off.
Yeah,
That's my leather one.
Yep. I got one just like that. Except I have he put my brand on it.
I wear chaps all the time now.
Yeah, I do too when I ride, Brett. I wear chinks, but yeah, you ruin so many pairs of pants if you don't.
Yeah, I got a set of chinks that I wear.
I wear old school Wranglers, so I've never tore a pair.
I have.
Yeah, like these are all I carry, Chris. I mean, they have a harness system that goes around your chest and around your waist.
I've seen those,
but
you just got them back
those
in.
are nice.
Yeah, I just put those, and I'll hook my radio right around the belt, right next to it, and pistol will hook to it or hook to my belt, and that's about all I do.
Yeah, I like a pistol to be on the belt. I don't want, because I carry so much weight when I'm working, right? My pack typically weighs 25 to 30 pounds, and I have it set up so that everything sets down on my waist. It's about 60% on my waist, 40% on the back. Yeah. And radio, I've got extra hydro flasks of ice water. We call them fusees. What it is like a road flare, but it burns only for about 10 minutes and it burns like twice the temperature. Use it for firing off and stuff on veg fires. And so I've gotten used to carrying all that weight like that. So I set my backpack up for hunting similar because that's what I'm used to.
Yeah, see, that's one thing I carry instead of a lighter is just a regular road flare.
Yeah, I carry one in my pack because it only burns for 10 minutes, but you can set a log on fire with that.
Yep. Yeah, I started carrying those instead of a lighter just because it's easier. You just hick it, let it burn, and you can get little wet sticks going or whatever quick enough with that long burn.
Yep. But I also carry in my hunting pack, I've got 4 bottles of water, 2 extra mags for my pistol. I carry a tourniquet, one of those really nice ones they have nowadays. I forget what they're called, but it's a purpose-built tourniquet. I don't carry much medical supplies in there, but extra coat, extra hat, sometimes it's like a scarf, but it's different. I guess you could still call it a scarf, but
like that.
I got one of those. Just like that.
I can't see what it is.
It's a tourniquet.
Tourniquet.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, one of those. Mine's black too. And then
here's the fanny pack I used to carry. See that? and it had a little lumbar support.
Dear God.
It's
huge.
It looks like a motorcycle barrel pack.
Call that a
you
manny
carry
pack.
your water in there. And I was rigged up all the time when I was on that Harley.
Yeah.
Iron horse.
Oh yeah, that was my fanny pack on my motorcycle.
I got to bug out for just a minute, guys.
Yeah.
Again?
Yep. Sorry.
Yeah, if I'm going a long ways, I do have a full pack I carry. It's another Mystery Ranch bag, but
I like Mystery Ranch. They make really good stuff.
Yeah, they really do. And the main reason I like carrying the pack is because I have like a 3-liter water bladder in it.
Yep. I need to put mine back in my hunting pack.
The only reason I carry that much water is for the dogs.
Exactly. Yep.
And I keep like I have a king pack that my wife wants, like a $300 pack, and I got my little bowls, collapsible bowl in there.
Yep.
And I keep forgetting to throw it in my little one. I like my day pack, a little day pack, like bear hunting especially. Bear hunting, we do some drop offs. Like it's not like line hunting, not like dry ground line hunting. You guys, speaking of that, you're gonna love my shirts I'm having made right now. It's gonna be great. Dustin knows about them. I'm gonna market them at Dustin's Gold Strike gear.
Start
gonna
calling
be great.
dry ground lion hunters dirt bags.
Oh, it's gonna be great. I got one for every situation.
Snow bunnies for snow hunters, dirt bags for dry ground guys.
No, don't forget the lion scent. I got one coming.
So you guys all this talk about water. I always carried a canteen on my saddlebags, but on my cantle. Now, pardon me, on the horn of my saddle hanging off there. But I hardly ever got into it because in Arizona on the Sonoran Desert, there's a lot of water. There's streams and there's springs and we just always drank out of whatever. I've even drank out of water troughs and everything else. But I think nobody does that anymore. I hear, you're going to catch a cootie, you're going to get a bug, and you're going to crap your pants for the rest of your life.
What is that? What do you catch there, Rowdy? What is it?
Giardia.
Giardia. Yeah, I caught Giardia when I was 10. It about killed me.
Unless you're out of Chris's country, then it's gonorrhea.
I got that in Costa Rica.
Don't forget the chlamydia.
That sucked.
Gonna sip for herpes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I caught that drinking out of a hoof print.
And I had it for 2.5 years. I'd in and out of the hospital. Doctors thought I had ulcers. They said I was faking it. They said it was a mental thing, and turns out it was Giardia, and it literally almost killed me.
What the dogs?
Rowdy only 5'2".
Hey, I'm 5'6".
Stunning is
Yeah.
stunning is gross.
Dogs can get Giardia, Chris.
Well,
They'll
isn't there
yeah,
something-
I had a
what's
dog
the
get
other stuff?
Giardia last
Isn't
year.
it called dysteria or isn't there something?
Yeah.
There's
you
a
get
couple
from
different things. There's distemper,
Dysentery?
listeria, dysentery.
dysentery? Dysentery. That's
Keith
the same thing.
Mathis
Like
had 2 dogs die from Giardia down in Brazil or Belize or whatever.
yeah.
When he
I
was,
mean, my
I
dogs
guess-
drink out some crap, and I've never had them
Yeah.
get sick from it.
It's got to be some pretty nasty stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you remember
I
that?
mean, I never even thought twice about it. And up between Ash Fork and Seligman, we were hunting lions, and we had to stay out all night, shivering our butts off. We didn't get back to the pickups till 11 o'clock the next day, and we were thirsty. We didn't take anything with us. It was one of those deals, it's not going to be very long. And we found some deep cow tracks we had to scoot the bugs out of the way, but we drank that stuff too.
Mm.
So what is it what's the difference for people that catch that kind of stuff and people that don't?
Well,
What's the deal?
So like my hunting mentor, like he's constantly drinking out of streams, but he's been doing it his whole life. So maybe you just build up a tolerance to it.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know?
not sure.
Just like
Guys-
the Mexicans down south drinking out of their water faucet. I sure
Listen,
can't do it
come
in
camping
Mexico.
with me and eat my tacos and meat. You won't catch shit. Your gut will be ironclad.
Hell, I
Nope.
think
Rowdy,
that
when
really
you
has
got
a
it,
lot to
Rowdy,
do
had
with
you
it.
been drinking like that a lot, or was it just a fairly new deal? What was going on?
Oh no, I grew up drinking out of streams. I was fishing, I was hunting like every weekend. And then I caught it, and like I said, it literally almost killed me. I stopped growing from the age of 10 to 12 and a half. I lost like 25, almost
Dang.
30 pounds. I was in it. So there in Fresno, California, is a really, really good, world-renowned children's hospital. It's called Valley Children's Hospital. I was in and out of there about every 6 months. I'd go in there, stay anywhere from 30 to 90 days, and they'd just hook me up on IVs. I'd sit there, arm taped to a board, and they'd just fill me full of stuff to keep me alive for another 6 months. And then about the time I was crashing again, I'd go back in there. But yeah, basically is constant diarrhea. Couldn't hold anything down. About the only thing I could eat was like crackers and hot dogs. Anything else, it caused those little frickin' bugs to get agitated. So they look
So
a
it's
lot like,
parasite.
yeah.
Mm.
They
So they're
look
like
like a horseshoe
trichinosis?
crab and a squid
Or
mixed up.
trichinosa or whatever it is.
Trichinosis
different.
is from
That-
that gets in your meat like a bear.
Yeah.
Or from
Oh,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so this just
These
stayed in
are
your
an
gut.
intestinal parasite, and so they look like a squid and a horseshoe crab mixed. And then what they do is they bury their body into your stomach lining, your intestine lining, and then they use their little tentacles to catch whatever food you're eating. Well, when you don't eat something they want, or being a kid, you do something that agitates your stomach, playing, wrestling, football, whatever, soccer, and it would agitate them. They'd take those little tentacles and they'd whip them around like a bullwhip and smack the stomach lining, and that's what caused the massive stomach aches. So I had when I was 12 and a half, somewhere in there, I had a colonoscopy, and they said, yeah, about 50% of your lower intestine is scarred. So
Listen,
There's
I
got to
wonder
be
if
something they can
capsaicin
kill it
oil-
with, though, right?
Yeah. Does capsaicin oil, can that affect those little turds?
I don't know, but it sure affects my stomach now, as far as like peppers and stuff.
Yeah.
Eating any kind of hot sauce is like Russian roulette. It might hit me and might not, and if it hits me, it's I'm out of commission for half a day.
Well, see, I've never
But they don't-
I've never been around anybody that ever got sick like that, but I just know that we never even thought about it. That's how we were. And I
Mhm.
think about it now because I haven't been out there in those conditions, and I wonder, would I just jump down in that creek and get a big old swallow again, or who knows?
Yeah, I don't. I sure as hell don't. I carry a purifier with me, and so it's from what I understand, it's any omnivores, coyotes, coons, bears, fox, stuff like that. They're the ones that catch it and transmit it, right? And then it's it's carried by or transmitted through feces. So if they crap in the water upstream or somewhere right there, another nickname for it is beaver fever, right?
Yep.
So in the beaver ponds, people would stop and get a drink, so they would
Yeah.
call it beaver fever. And
I had that for 13 years.
drinking out of beaver ponds or eating beaver.
No,
No,
settle down.
I got
Let's
divorced.
just keep rolling. Just keep rolling.
So,
Just ignore him.
basically,
I'm just saying.
any whitewater. So if you're wanting to like be careful about it, whitewater, it has to go like 60 or I forget what the saying was. So if it's whitewater and it's moving more than like 15 feet a second or in 2 seconds or something like that, after 60 feet, it can't. Nothing lives in it. It kills everything because it's agitated so much, right, through the
Oh,
rocks
wow.
and the white water.
Hmm.
So if you're going to drink out of it, drink through the rapids. From
I
the
did
rapids.
not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Rowdy's a plethora. We should just have a Rowdy's corner. It's just a plethora of information.
Rowdy's Science Corner.
There you go.
Damn fireman.
Yeah, so
Look at Robert.
it's something
Robert
I
got
don't play
jokes,
with.
too.
Yeah, it was a shitty situation, right? So it's literally, well, when I had it, it was almost the whole time it was diarrhea. So
Yeah,
That's
that ain't
horrible.
fun.
That's no
yeah,
good.
being 10 years old and doctors saying, doctors are telling you, oh, he's faking it. Oh, he's got ulcers. So I went through like 4 rounds of ulcer meds at 10 to 12 and a half in those years. And it never helped because, that wasn't what the issue was.
Yeah.
So, but my question is like, if they catch, like, if you drink out of some nasty water, isn't there like a wormer or like some kind of, some kind of medicine that would
Trimectin,
kill it?
right? Kills everything.
Ivermectin or
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if
bendazole.
ivermectin kills it.
no?
I don't know.
The
They
reason
probably
I asked-
ivermectin probably wasn't very big back then either.
Yeah, I don't know. I just remember I took they're not gel capsules, but the pills were purple. I don't think that makes a difference. They were purple with
They gave you Happy Jack dog warmer.
black
The
lines
old,
around it.
old ones.
So
Feel about bigger on your thumb.
yeah. And I just I took it for a month, and then after that I felt great again, I had energy again. I was able to play. Being 12 and a half years old, you wanted to go play football. I got into wrestling after that. Yeah.
That green
Well, the
blue
reason
algae.
I asked about the capsaicin oil is because it's what measures the Scoville units in these hot peppers,
Mhm.
and it's a cancer deterrent.
Right.
And
I've heard that. Yeah.
and yeah, I know that people that are a little more sensitive to the hotter peppers, when that oil gets in their stomach lining, it sets them off and it gives them all kinds of issues too. But if that oil could get in their stomach lining, would it kill those little turds?
Yeah, I'm not sure because it's not, that capsaicin or whatever that oil is. It's not when you're feeling the burn. It's actually burning you. It's not a flavor. It's actually a burn on the
Yeah.
skin and all the intestines
yeah.
and everything.
Mhm. I had a dog. I had one of my dogs get giardia. They gave her some kind of antibiotic, I believe. Had to isolate her from the other dog for 2 months, and she recovered with no issues. She is 2 now. So is that giardia? Is it like so? If they're eating out or drinking out of the same water, can they get it?
Well, I
is it-
think I think
No.
they're shitting it out, just like
Yeah.
it happens with parvo, Chris.
Gotcha.
Exactly. And it stays on the ground. I don't know how long it lives outside of the host as far as long as it stays in the fecal matter. But if it gets in water, it survives in water.
So I wonder if they drink out of the same water.
Yeah, and I think it'd have to be like the dogs. How many of your dogs crap in their water buckets? How many of them freaking start playing and they sling it everywhere because they're playing with the dog in the next kennel or
So you're talking about
Dragging it
male
around with the
dogs,
chain. Mhm.
male dogs and their filthy, stinking habits.
yeah.
Male blue ticks. Yeah.
Shoot.
Shitting in their water. Well, what I mean, I drank out of a hoof print just so I can say one time I drank out of a hoof print. I had a picture of it, but
Being
there's a
official.
110. Remember the 110 cameras? There was no digital back then. I have a picture somewhere of me drinking out of a hoof print.
I did it because I was thirsty.
Yeah. So I wonder.
Main thing. I was
So
gonna
will
say the main.
those- Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the main thing, for, like water wise, we have to worry about with our dogs out here in Oregon is salmon poisoning.
I've heard of
Because
that.
the salmon
What is
run
that?
up the rivers and creeks and stuff, and the salmon out here apparently have like some like a parasite in the slime on their skin. So like if your dog eats a dead salmon, you basically just have to take them straight to the vet.
Oh shit.
But they can also like this if there's a bunch of salmon in a creek, they're rubbing up against the rocks and stuff, and their slime is getting on the rocks. Even if your dog goes and licks those rocks, they're probably going to get it.
Well,
And
it would be just
I
in
had
the
one
water at
dog
that
die
point,
from
huh?
it, and then I had another dog almost die from it.
Dang.
It's a nuke flick, Nicholas. It's a fluke. It's a fluke.
Yeah, it's a fluke. Yep,
Oh, that's the wrong one. Let me see.
it's like literally a fluke. Yeah,
Your dog didn't die. Someone took
one of
it.
them did.
The government took it. It's a fluke.
The government took it.
You know, so is
Well,
that not
I buried him in
transferable
the
to
backyard,
humans?
but
Do humans not
I
get
don't
that?
think so. No, I don't think it's as. I mean, I don't know. I don't know for sure, but yeah, I don't think it's as much of a problem for humans.
What about bears? Them bears eat the shit out of those salmon.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that. I don't know how true this is, but I've heard people say that once your dog gets it once, they kind of have an immunity to it.
Oh,
Kind of like
So-
parvo almost, where they most of the time. I've never had a dog get it twice, but I've
No,
never had
I
a
don't.
dog get it after a year old or like when they get older, 7-8 months.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
I also
Bruce was the last one who got it, and luckily I caught it soon enough that I was able to get him. Can't remember what antibiotic they do for it, but it's like
Oh.
one of the more hardcore antibiotics. And
Yeah.
if you catch it soon, they'll be fine. If you let it go for like 2 or 3 days, like you're probably screwed.
Dang.
that fluke is carried by snails that salmon eat, and it gets in the bloodstream of the fish and can be passed along forever. Just about. Dang, all this information tonight. Holy moly! We need to charge for all this stuff. You guys need to go to Cold Strike Gear and buy something for this information.
Oh hell.
How's that? How do you like that? How you like that?
I won't complain.
I do love the Only Hounds hat. That's hilarious.
I
I
sell.
know I don't
a
have
lot.
mine. I left mine in Cholo. I only got my one here.
Hey, Benny, have you ever had dogs get valley fever?
No,
No.
I had lab.
No,
I've had labs get it.
I think I have valley fever, but that's just my lungs. But there was a guy that told Hendricks that he sold him a dog with valley fever, and he had the dog for 2 years and raised a litter of pups out of her every 6 months and sold the pups for $500 a head. And after 2 years, he brought the dog back and said, "Hey, this dog's got valley fever and it's costing too much to keep her." So Hendricks got pissed and said, "Well, what about all those pups?" And he says, "Well, that's just his deal." And so Hendricks bought the dog back, and he hunted the dog for another 2 years and couldn't find anything wrong with it. But next time he sold the dog, he sold it for half price because it could have valley fever. That's the
Mm.
closest I've ever been around somebody that had any experience with it.
Oh, okay.
I was
What
working
are
with a couple
those
guys.
symptoms like?
It's usually in working dogs. It doesn't really affect their lungs like the vets say. They'll start packing a back leg because it's a bacteria that'll actually make the bone deteriorate.
Oh boy.
So if
That's-
you got,
That's something different than what I know of as valley fever.
they usually think it's a cough.
So the
Yeah,
what valley
it's a
fever
lung.
I know about
Yeah.
is a lung issue, and so what it is, it's a fungus or a spore in the dirt.
It's a spore, but it gets
And
in your.
then-
It can get in your spinal and your
Oh.
actual bones.
Hmm.
And when you're like, I've had guys like my buddy that he runs bird dogs. He had to go through his whole kennel.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that was $1,000 a month vet bill for 4 years.
Jesus.
But
Jeez.
he had one dog. She started packing a leg for 3-4 weeks, and then he brought her in. She had valley fever, and then it just like a domino effect with this whole line of dogs, and it comes out of the dirt.
Yeah. So I was working with a couple guys that caught it on a fire. If you guys know where Kalinga is, it's a little shithole town out in the west side of San Joaquin Valley, southwest side in California. And they caught it off a fire. We'd all cut the same hand line, and we cut miles of hand line on that fire because it was just too steep to get a dozer in. And so we all crossed over the same patch of dirt. Well, two of the guys caught it. And from what I understand talking with them, it's a lifelong thing for humans. It gets into your lungs and it starts to deteriorate your lungs. So one guy lost like 10% of his lung capacity because it had damaged that much of his lung in the first 2 weeks. And then they started getting antifungal medication. And so basically they're fine now, but it could flare up at any time if, the spores are still alive inside of them. So they have a constant prescription for that med, and when they need it, they use it. And other than that, they don't use it.
Yep.
They don't get into your joints. Don't it affect your joints something too?
I'd have to look it up. I hadn't heard about that.
He had to put a dog down because the meds weren't working. My buddy had to put a dog down because the meds weren't working on the dog that well. And it actually got into the dog's spine where she went to jump up on her doghouse and her back broke.
Oh, shit.
Jeez.
So it just makes your bones brittle.
Yeah.
And that's valley fever?
Yeah.
So that's what I thought. I thought it did affect something like that because I had a dog that had it. It was a hound, and it would mess with his joints and his back legs. They'd swell up.
Oh, I've never heard of the swelling.
Your blood goes through your lungs to get oxygenated.
Yeah.
And so everything in your lungs, all the oxygen in your lungs gets into your bloodstream, and then your bloodstream goes through your bones. So I can see that how it could transfer.
Just affects everything's different, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You guys had any issues with heartworms?
I haven't. I had a dog. Well, I take that back. I got a dog one time. He came out of, I think, Louisiana, and he was a blackmouth cur, and he was shipped over into California. I used ivermectin to treat him. But I started off, all right, so I know a vet, used to know him. I haven't talked to him in years, in South Carolina, and what he told me was start with liquid ivermectin. You put 1 drop on his food a day for a week, and it's a 6-week regimen. So 1 drop first week, 1 drop a day for the first week, 2 drops a day for the second week, and all the way up to 6 drops at 6 weeks. And the reasoning for that is if you give them a lethal dose for all the worms in one shot, what it does is it just kills all the worms, but it also leaves a bunch of holes in the heart. So you start slow so that it slowly starts killing them, and the heart has time to heal back in that 6 weeks. And then the worms are all dead after that 6 weeks. And then you want to repeat it 6 months later, and then once a year after that.
That's one of the
We are
two
learning
main
so
things
much tonight.
that we
This
have
is
to
crazy.
deal with. It's heartworms and Ehrlichia.
Yeah. Is that something that you'd heard about, that treatment? Ivermectin?
Do what now? Sorry, I had a phone call.
What's your treatment for heartworms?
Ivermectin.
Ivermectin, yeah.
I've just never had. I've never had
one
bad
treated
luck with those
with a
heartworms and
vet,
stuff.
and they're not the same dog. Ivermectin, give it to them and then just don't miss a dose after that. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do ivermectin monthly just as like preventative.
Okay.
I use the sheep drench. Keeps it cheap.
Okay.
I'm
I
bad.
usually
I'm
buy
bad
it in
about worming my
the big
dogs.
bottle for cattle, the pour on.
Mm-hmm.
And then so about every once a year in the spring, what I've been doing is I'll just do a dose of ivermectin, a pour on, pound for pound, whatever.
You actually pour it on them?
Yeah.
Okay.
The dog. It poured on what?
Ivermectin,
Right.
pour on ivermectin.
Right down the middle of their back.
Yeah, right on their
Yep.
spine.
Oh,
Yeah, just like
'Cause
I
I do
do
the-
for a cow.
I do the sheep drench, but I actually just give it to them orally.
That's what I do.
Okay.
Huh.
I mean, I actually like it seems to work fine. I actually bought you can get heartworm tests off Amazon.
Hmm.
And so I'll just do a random dog every so often, and yeah, it's been negative so far, and I've just tried to
Good.
keep up on it.
so where do the heartworms come from? Yeah,
Mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes carry 'em.
I'll give a shout out to Chris Powell, but he has a good. I think
That
who did
wasn't
he have
much of
on
a
here?
shout.
No, he had somebody on. They have a podcast. He did a podcast, and they talk about all the wormers.
Yeah,
I
that's a
know
good
him
one
and
with Shorty.
Gorham did a couple.
Was that
different
Shorty Gorham? That right?
episodes.
You're right. It was, and it's ridiculous amount of information. So there you go,
The
Mr. Houndsman XP. Shout out from
man,
Chris Watson.
they talked about like for flea treatment, they
Mhm.
talked about that Conserve
Yeah.
SC. Dude,
Yeah.
that stuff is awesome. I started
Does
using
anyone
that, and
carry raw honey for heat exhausting?
No,
No.
I don't.
I keep some packets of honey in my pack, just in,
God,
dog
Nick
gets
just does
super.
everything.
If a dog gets super wore out, and they're
Just for
laying there
the
panting
protein,
like
the energy.
crazy, and their gums
Mhm.
start turning white, like I'll just squirt some honey in their mouth and perks them right up.
Yeah, I usually watch my dogs pretty good. If they're panting and they start to get frothy at the mouth, I'll call them back and give them a break, give them some water, head straight to water, and let them cool down. So that's what I do is just watch their saliva.
So
Yeah,
you're saying
You heat
So you-
stroke a dog, they never come back normal.
Yeah.
so you're saying when you're at Kentucky Fried Chicken, you steal all the honey packs and just keep them in your.
That's exactly what was running through my
Actually-
head.
They
I
sell
got
sell
one of
honey
those-
sticks on Amazon.
Yeah,
Oh,
I got
yeah,
one
you're
of those
right.
like full like canine first aid kits as a Christmas present years ago. And it actually had honey packets in it, like as a something it came with.
Yeah.
Huh.
Way back
There's
when
also
I was
this,
dog hunting, I carried sutures, gauze, staple guns. I even had a small bottle of lidocaine that was expired that a vet had gave me, and a syringe. So that way, when I was out, if a dog got cut bad, I could. And I always had bottles of water, so I had something to rinse the cuts out with, and I would staple them up with those surgical staple guns, and I never lost a dog being able to do that.
Does anybody know what in the honey that causes like what does that do?
Glucose, it's just sugar.
Just
It's
sugar.
sugar,
Yeah.
it's glucose.
They also make this stuff called it's called like high calorie gel,
Mhm.
and that stuff is awesome. Like if your dog's not eating and you're just trying to keep them alive, basically. That high energy gel is great because you can just squirt it down their throat and
Yeah.
it'll at least give them calories, give them a little boost.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there a new company bringing supplements out right now that's for this specifically? I saw someone pushing it. But
Like
it's
dogs are hydrated.
Yeah, dogs.
no. So but this is like a paste that if a dog is heat stroking, kind of like honey, you shoot it right in their mouth. It looks like a wormer paste, but I can't remember the brand. I'm gonna have to try and find it.
It sounds like something somebody should carry at their store. I don't know.
Hey, Chris, what was the comment about don't use Poron?
Don't
They
use
had
it up a
more on
second
as
ago.
oral.
Yeah, it's a difference. There's an injectable and there's the Poron, and they're two different names. I just don't know the difference. I think that guy wrote it on there.
Yeah.
Ivomec is the.
Oh yeah, Ivomec is. let me find
Yeah.
that. This one right here.
So the Poron it's got rubbing alcohol in it, so it evaporates quickly. Maybe that's the issue.
Mm.
There's a poison in rubbing alcohol, so that's why they
Yeah,
don't want you to
poison
use the Poron.
rubbing alcohol is poisonous. So maybe that's the issue.
I like huffing rubbing alcohol. What about that?
I know people. I know people in Holbrook, Arizona, that drink it. Saying
God.
it's cheap. It's cheaper. Just like they drink that.
You know,
The mouthwash.
None of that
too, to
stuff. None of that stuff is as potent as that butterscotch flavor.
Ooh,
that rubbing
I
alcohol.
can't even wait till next rendezvous. I hope that guy brings a little more. And we're gonna have time on the next rendezvous to actually drink it. I still have some in my fridge.
All right, Chris, I
That
found
might
it,
be video
Oh.
worthy.
Dustin has it.
but you're gonna have to give a reference to your buddy again. But it is Elite Nutrition Canine, but they do have like a paste for it's an electro boost paste for dogs that you carry
okay.
that yeah, they have a whole bunch of stuff, but they have that electro boost that you can carry that has
Sounds
the
good.
little dial for their weight and you push it into
Okay.
their mouth.
You could probably use that on yourself too.
Yep, I probably could, you know. I mean, but
Yeah.
it definitely, I mean, I've just seen it they started advertising it around that horses, hounds, and mule sale.
No.
Mhm.
And I just haven't had time to do my research into bringing it in. But they have a lot of different like dog products for, you know, health and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Tim B's right. I used to know
Are
a
you
girl
talking
that
about lactated ringers for like an IV drip? Because I've done that.
Probably.
I'd get the expired ones from the EMTs, and so what I would do is I actually saved a dog from parvo, an older, an adult pit bull of my buddies. So when they get the parvo, right, it inflames the lining in the stomach, and the lining of the stomach will I forget the term, but it peels off, right?
Mm.
So that's why they can't eat and they can't drink, because it's extremely painful for them. So it takes them like 2 or 3 days to come through it. And what you do is you just go right underneath the skin. Dog's going to be laying there, and it creates a big fluid pocket under their skin. But you give them, I think it's about a cup at a time. And then you want to alternate. Like if you give it on the back of the neck in the morning, you give it in the middle of the back in the evening, and just to keep them hydrated. So most dogs die of dehydration from like parvo and distemper.
That's what kills them.
Yeah. So
let
if you
me
can
tell
keep
you-
them hydrated long enough that they can get through the worst of it, then you start feeding them bland rice or plain rice and plain boiled chicken, and in small quantities. After they start to want to eat and drink again, and then they pull through it.
Let me tell you what I do with my parvo. And a lot of people, I've been in arguments with people because they're like, shove sardines down their throat. I pull all food and water. And then I have my vet, I just get an IV bag from her, and she shoots some B12, and there's some other stuff she shoots in it. It's like an antibiotic or something. And I put it under their skin, and it's green. We call it the juice. We juice our dogs up, but it's fluorescent green. And you give them so much that they'll actually, let me unmute Brett since we could hear him talking on the phone.
Good.
Could
you hear me? You heard me talking with. You heard me
could
talking.
hear background chatter, so I just muted you.
Well, Donald called me.
You better behave, or I'll mute you again.
He wants
my show, Brett.
He wants me to be part of his cabinet, but I told him I was too busy.
There you go.
Oh man.
But I pull all the water and food for 3 days, and I shoot them up. And about the 4th day, I'll give them a little water. And if they throw up, I pull it again for 3 days, food and water, and I just shoot them up. Most of the time, a high percentage of time, after 3 or 4 days, they'll drink that water and they won't throw up. So I'll start feeding them. I'll feed them oysters, and I'll feed them some high protein stuff, and just little at a time. And then once they quit doing that, and I give them so much under the skin that they'll pee green.
Yeah.
They piss that color. It's crazy, but that's how I do it. I don't feed or water them, and I see people all the time like, oh, give them this, like the pumpkin stuff, but I wait. I would definitely wait 3 or 4 days, and I just keep them hydrated under the skin. I think the thing I've lost dogs on is they get an infection sometimes in their lungs, I used to be anti-vax on my dogs. Because I would just save them from parvo. And when you save them from parvo, those dogs are tough.
Yep.
Like their immune system, I don't think they get nothing else the rest of their life. I got a strand so bad one year that I seen the dog throw up the food. I said, I call my vet. I go get it, end of the day, come back, and she's dead already.
Oh,
and
man.
you could hear her in her lungs. And it was just a ridiculously bad strain, and ever since then, and my vet has also said when your dogs get pregnant, give the pregnant Jip a shot, a parvo shot. So I if I remember, I'll do that. But and then, man, my son used to work at a place and he'd get 5 gallons of this super bleach, and I would dump literally 5 gallons in my bitch pen, my whelping pen, and I would dig it out, burn it,
Yep.
crucifix, all the good stuff to try to, and I dumped that on there. And I've been pretty good with my parvo once you but man, if a crow lands in your neighbor's yard or down the road and lands in your yard, you got parvo again. I hate parvo, but in the old days, my Andy dog, I drug. His eyes were black. He was dead. Drug out, gave him the juice. He came out of it. He lived a good long time. But these days, some of those strains, man, they're dirty.
Oh yeah. I had an old
mixture
timer. Go ahead, Rowdy. You're good.
I was gonna say another mixture that I heard about. This is from a hog hunter way back years ago, down south somewhere, southeast Florida, or I think. So whenever they would have puppies or dogs catch parvo, they'd mix up raw eggs, Karo syrup, a little bit of water, and something else, and they would put it in they'd mix it up, blend it real good. They put it in a syringe, and then once a day they would shoot that down their throat, and that really helped them. He said for puppies and stuff.
Yeah, I had an old timer tell me if they have it bad and you catch them late and you don't have access to needles, IVs, and that, he would take a high electrolyte drink like Pedialyte or Gatorade, for lack of better, if you didn't have it, and he wouldn't put it down their throat. He'd shoot it right up their ass because it'll go into the intestines and suck right in. I mean, it gets right
it's
into
absorbed right away.
Yeah.
And so
Bobby did. I never thought of that. We used to drench them with Pedialyte.
Yeah.
The worst part,
that way gets it inside quicker.
Oh, that makes sense.
Worst part was holding your finger there so it didn't come out.
Yes. That takes Chris back to his college days.
Oh, we're talking about dogs. Shoot, sorry.
Is that your hangover cure?
Yeah.
Oh, that's just to get him there quicker.
I thought all Walker owners did that anyways.
Yeah.
Can't say that I've ever done that.
How about snake bite? Do you guys all use Dex for snake bite?
I don't have any experience. I've never had a dog bit.
Everybody says different, but they say Dex is the best. But man, some dogs, I've heard guys that you just throw a little Dex or penicillin their way and they're great, lest they get bit in the face. But I heard about one today that got hit in the back leg up in Utah and is already dead.
Was that priest?
Yeah, I don't know.
We had the funniest text messages last night. She texted me and asked me what my formula was for the dogs. All my dogs live. They get bit in the face, they'd live. And I give them 3 cc's of Dex under the skin, 3 cc's in the muscle, and then 3 cc's under the skin for 3 days. It's really easy to remember. And she was right. It was funny. She was writing back with me. My wife and I laughed so hard because she wrote back. She said, is Dex something that you have to order? Or said, do I have to order Dex?
Yeah.
And instead her spell check said sex. She said, do I have to order sex? And I said, man, if you find out where I ordered some, let me know.
Just go to the local Asian massage.
Where?
I think.
But I think they said that dog got it in the back leg and it hammered it quick.
Dang.
Must have gotten it in an artery.
Yeah, that's what I wondered, because I had one get bit right in between his 2 front toes years ago, and all the vet did was just pump him full of fluid and a little bit of antibiotics, and he was fine.
Antibiotics, yeah. I got that antibiotic. I forget what it's called, and it doesn't have to be refrigerated. You can give them a shot of that.
LA200?
No, I think LA200 has to be refrigerated, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I thought so. Remember. Yeah. I forget what this stuff is. I got it there in the house, but I just always heard Dex. There's this red nose comment here says that the vets say that it doesn't work, but isn't it an anti-inflammatory? Isn't what dexamethasone is?
I think so.
It's a
I'd
steroid.
have to look it up. But everyone I've talked to, that's all the old timers. Everyone, that's what they carry for it.
That's what I learned. Yeah. And I've yet, knock on wood, I had my old sissy dog. She was already 12 years old. She got bit in the leg, but she didn't die until like a week and a half later.
Mm.
But all my other dogs, it's usually because they're curious. They run up there and they get smacked in the face.
Yeah.
Yep.
I went on a snake removal one time for, ended up being a Forest Service chief, and they had 2 dogs, and I forget what they were like. Anyways, I think it was lab mix, but dog had gotten bit in the tongue, and it wasn't the first time. And so this dog had been bit like 3 times by rattlesnakes.
Bet he lost his tongue.
And no, right? That's what I would have thought. So by the time I got there, the snake had gotten into their garage and into around behind the water heater, but the dogs were just going nuts over it. And the dog's tongue had turned black, and all they said that they were just going to give it some Benadryl, and that's what they did the last 2 times. A Benadryl, half a tablet or a full tablet, I can't remember, and they just do that twice a day.
That's Tim's little medical kit for his dogs.
Jeez Louise.
That's extensive.
That looks like Biden's freaking morning routine.
You need one of those fanny packs like Benny carries.
Maybe that's Tim's medicine to run dogs.
I've carried Benadryl and I've given them Benadryl before, but I've heard different things about it.
I have too.
I don't know. It might make you feel better. It doesn't cost anything really.
No.
Yeah.
To carry it around with
I
you.
think most of it, that's all it does is it treats your mental capacity. It don't
Yeah.
really help.
And maybe the Dex is doing that too. I don't know.
I don't let my dogs sit down after they get bit.
You don't let them what?
I don't let them sit down. Relax.
Oh, yeah.
We'll go run down a road for hours.
Wasn't it Steve
Really?
Wouldn't
that pump it more through their system?
That's what I asked him. That's what I asked him when we.
But
talked.
maybe it dilutes it enough when it's pumped through their system that it doesn't affect them as
Steve
bad.
Mathis wrote about it in his book.
Yeah, he said he was convinced that if you make a dog run for several miles, 5-10 miles afterwards, it takes that and
Pumps
that
it through?
venom and pumps it through it and dilutes it.
Dilutes it. Mm.
And then
most of mine
I use
too.
DMSO. I use DMSO for that.
To
reason.
suck it out.
Well, no, it's a systemic, and so like if you get DMSO on you, and it's a systemic. If it affects you, you'll taste either black licorice or garlic.
Yeah.
But it carries that poison through the whole body with that DMSO. Like if they get bit on the leg, I'll rub that DMSO on them, get them real wet from their foot, clear up into their shoulder, so it'll dilute that snake bite poison and carry it through their whole body. Kind of the same thing that you're saying, Rowdy. Only I use DMSO for that.
I think we use DMSO on bowed tendons on a horse.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've used it on horses before that had leg injuries, but I've never used it to treat anything else.
I had a dog get bit on the head, and I put it from his nose to the back of his shoulders and sopped him up real good.
I had a dog get bit last year, and he got bit right. But I don't know what, probably got too close, but he got bit on his nose, and his head never got back to normal again. He went from having a real slender, long face to a blockhead.
Just scar tissue almost. Then
I've had a lot of them lose flesh that never grows back.
Because it's a necrosis. It kills the tissue.
Yeah.
So there's like a viper. I want to say is there's the difference between a necrosis and a neurological. So there's one that shuts down your respiratory system, which I want to say is a viper, and then a rattlesnake is a necrosis. That's why you get that sloughing of the skin, the rotting, sloughing of the hair, and then that's why it has to be scrubbed out. And the dog
you just read WebMD in your free time.
He is WebMD.
Wow.
He just looks like he reads, Jared.
Almost 20 years being a fireman,
Yeah. Hang on. Here we go. Take it over, Rowdy. It's all you. Who cares about us?
Yeah, we're gone.
I've had this pain in my lower back, Rowdy.
Sciatica.
I got this sore. Can you take a look at that for me?
Jeez.
Me and my
Actually,
grandson,
Brett-
speaking of rattlesnakes, me and my grandson were climbing through the rocks off this bad ledge today. And I said, make sure you stay right behind me. I said, in case there's a rattlesnake. And he looked at me and he said, what do I do if you get bit? I said, oh, I'm not going to get bit. I said, it always bites the second person. I said, I'll already
Right.
be by him.
What is there's a question on there? Y'all's dogs pretty much live when bit by a rattlesnake. I've never had a dog even so much as slough hair.
Really?
I've probably
Yeah.
I bet I've had 10 dogs, maybe more than that, bit by rattlesnakes over the years. And
Is it like,
I've lost one, just lost one, that sissy dog, and that was it. And she
The
was
bad
battling.
ones down here, the Mojave greens.
They're
But
real
they're in the
bad.
valley.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
the most aggressive one, they say.
Yeah, but I mean, and they're different venom. It attacks
Yeah.
the dog's nerve system. So my buddy was training bird dogs. This is probably 3-4 years ago in the valley, and his dog got bit. And he did the decks or whatever. Next day, the dog couldn't stand up, and its eyes were going 1,000 miles an hour.
Mm.
It's totally different.
so what do you mean you give a shot of
The prairie rattlers are a lot more aggressive than the diamondbacks.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
they'll stand up and come after you, but the
Chris, there's
diamondbacks. Go ahead.
Well, the
There's a-
question, we
there's
are
a-
only really worried about Western Diamondback, so we give a shot. Is he talking about the anti-venom?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
what
probably
do they
giving
call
them
it?
that.
Well,
Yeah,
there's
he
a
did a
shot
shot
for-
for dogs.
There's a rattlesnake vaccine for Western
Yeah.
Diamondback.
Yeah,
I
But then you
did
gotta
that.
give
venom.
you got to get them to the vet within like an hour, 2 hours, and then it slowly starts. The longer you wait, the longer or the less effective it is.
But you can give them a shot that's
carried-
supposed to last all year, supposed to reduce the
okay.
effects of a bite. I did that to 5 dogs I had one time, and I never noticed any difference really. But
Gotcha.
that,
I always
it might
carry
have-
DMSO and dexamethasone in my saddlebags, and I always had penicillin at the house in the refrigerator. So if the dog got bit out in the field, I doctored him for that stuff, and then we quit and we came home, and I started overloading them with penicillin.
Yeah.
And I did this for 5 days, I think. And like I said, I've never had a dog even slough any hair.
Well, that's good.
So
I've had them lose whatever Rowdy was talking about. I don't know those big words.
Necrosis.
Where they get a sore. Basically, what happens is
And it's-
that venom
yeah.
gets in there, it kills all the tissue, and the tissue rots. So
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
to get all that dead tissue off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be bad, but
Cool.
I'm just glad I don't have to worry about snakes.
We
None
we
at
don't
all?
have. We haven't hardly had any this year. Usually by this time of year, I've killed 12 or 15 or relocated them. I relocated
They're all
them.
huge.
relocating in two different parts.
Very humane.
I relocate them to hell. That's what I
The
do.
last
That's
time
the only
Brett said
good
that,
place for him.
bullshit.
the last time Brett told me that, he was on the phone with me out, and he says, "Man, I haven't seen no rattlesnakes." And
Right
10
then.
seconds later, the rattler, his dogs are over there.
It was right
So,
there.
do you guys
right next to
ever-
me.
Do you do the whole like aversion training off snakes, like break your dogs off of messing with snakes?
Well, if I get a chance to, I shock the shit
Yeah.
out of them. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This is
I
how
tried
I
that
do
with a
it.
gopher snake one time. My dog just grabbed it and started shaking it. So I quit.
Well, what I do is I put it on a fishing line and I cast it out there at home. I cut the head off, of course, and I'll drag that in and get all my dogs chasing it. Light them up. As soon as they touch that snake with their nose, light them up. And I keep doing it until you cast it at them and they all run away.
Yeah.
That's how I do it.
But I think
That
a
makes
big
sense.
problem deal is those dogs just, a lot of them are just running around sniffing, doing what they do, and they'll just step on one.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
they go to them out of curiosity. The young dogs do. The
Yeah,
old dog, my old dogs now, they don't pay any attention to them. They just
Well, they stink. Like you can smell them yourself, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
they know
stink.
they're there. Exactly.
Yeah.
They know they're there.
Got here as
Now we
quick
have
as I
to-
could.
Good
Jeremy,
job.
we've been here
I
an
got
hour and a half. Feels like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I got to hop off, fellas. Have a good
I
night.
know. What do you
Have a
got
good one.
going on before you leave there, Dustin?
Tell us a story.
A story.
Tell us your 220 your
Just
your
make something up.
TT25 giveaway going on.
Oh,
with that.
well, yeah, I just got a giveaway going over on Instagram. It's pretty easy to get entered for TT25, or if you want a TT15X, I'll do that. It's going on through this whole month, and if you buy something on our website, it gets you more entries.
There you go.
Sweet.
Like this hat
Nice.
I got right
Man,
here.
aren't you having a Black Friday deal too?
Yep,
Oh,
Black
yeah.
Friday deals are going on right now, so everything for the most part that I can is marked down as well for the rest of this month. So,
Okay.
There you go.
Sweet.
Cold
And that's
Strike gear.
on Instagram.
well, that's where the giveaway is on my Instagram. Yep,
Okay.
What's your Instagram? It's just Cold Strike gear. You can.
coldstrike.gear. Yeah.
There you go.
Yep, it's
Awesome.
there. Awesome. Thanks, boys.
All right, thank
Thanks,
you.
Dustin.
See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.
There you
Guys,
go.
I might have to bug out too.
Night time.
Well, my cigar's almost gone.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just got back though. You were gone for an hour.
Yeah.
I was
You got
discussing
time to make
business.
up.
I got a
That's what-
coffee. I got a coffee brand coming out.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah, you were talking about that a little while ago.
Yeah, I got. We're trying to figure out the packaging right now.
And
then
where'd
the
you hear it
logistics.
first? Chris Watson's show right here on
There you go.
Freecasting.
I've been advertising on my Born 100 Years Too Late, but I don't have the packaging or anything yet. So
Yeah.
as soon as I do, I can try
You
to
gonna put a-
generate some
A
kind
hound
of
on there with the lion track.
No, it's me on my mules. That same little logo I use on everything that's on the cup
Mhm.
that he was drinking
Nice.
his beer out of. It's
I got it. I got a perfect advertising, Brett.
What's
Speaking of beer, I'm gonna go grab one. I'll be back.
You could say, just because a lion turns its sin off doesn't mean you can't smell this coffee.
I'm such a dumbass. I was listening to that Houndsman XP podcast today, driving out, because it was cleaved wire. And I didn't even realize I'd already listened to it once before until Chris told me. He said, that's an old one. I said, dang.
I
It
said
was
that
pretty
cleave
good
better
one.
not be going on his without coming on mine.
And that was a good one. I like to listen to Cleve. And he
That's
was
a good
talking,
one.
instead of saying they turn their scent off, they call it holding their scent. That he said, well,
It's
they
okay
hold
if
their
Cleve says it, but we say turn your sin off and we're the bad guys.
Man, you should have read the I think I sent you those comments.
I
From that-
did.
What comments about?
That was the guy, that's Trapper Guy. He's here tonight. Tell us about it, Trapper Guy.
Oh yeah, he's mad. I think what the deal is, he's mad at W Hunting Supply for some reason. I don't even know what it is.
So they took subscriptions. They did it for another. There was some. I mean, it's a legitimate kind of claim. He's on here. He was on here. So they're trying to figure it out.
I was coming off the mountain today, and Jason called me,
Mhm.
and I thought I was tired and probably just a little bit grumpy, and I thought
Brad's name got brought up.
I got to think. He said I was tagged in that post or whatever, and I don't really do a lot on Facebook. I go through and like stuff I like, and that's about it. But I was all ready for them to tell me that we're going to have to be careful about what we said or whatever. And I was going to say, no, I say what I want to say. I don't care.
Mhm.
I like that.
My next shirt.
I wish I knew what you guys were talking about. Is this about lions turning their scent off?
No,
it was about something that happened between this guy. He was on here earlier. Something ends up being something that was between him and W Hunting Supply, and he thought that
trapping houndsman.
and he thought that I worked for W Hunting Supply.
So you're saying there's drama between houndsmen?
there's always.
I've never heard of anything like that. I
It's
didn't
crazy.
think it was
Every once in a
possible.
while,
Right?
Nick.
You,
Every once in a while.
you should be me. You have no idea some of the comments I have to go through.
You
My
should
phone
have
rang
me on
for
your
2
show.
hours after that comment.
Isn't that right, Brett? Just have me
What's
on
that?
your show.
Yeah.
Brett, you just let Benny be on your show, and something's gonna stir up.
Yeah, my show was dramaless until Benny started coming on.
Nice
Yeah.
and peaceful and friendly. Look at him. He's got his arm. He looks like he's always ready for a fight. Those big
He's
old
like the
forearms
bouncer.
hanging out there.
He's the bouncer.
Got the spear.
A spear.
He's got a weapon.
Hey, Brett, you need to get you a Benny roast that fights your innards, you know?
A Benny roast that fights your innards. You're going to have to explain.
Your coffee.
Yeah.
Oh,
High
yeah.
octane coffee roast
A Benny roast. You eat
with
this.
Benny
and
on the cover with his
Stomp.
spear.
You're
He'll
going to
stomp
be
your
on
guts.
fire. And
Guaranteed to keep you regular.
guaranteed to hit the bathroom
Lower
within
up.
15 minutes.
You know, we don't even grind this coffee.
Good
We just put the
stomper.
beans in and boil it.
Yes.
How strong it is.
Just
Spear your guts.
just chew on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just chew it.
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
Good old drama. Good old hounds and their drama, man.
I'm pretty convinced that bobcats turn their scent off now too.
I was gonna ask you. That's
Hey,
why I
talk
wanted
to Cody King.
Yeah.
Me and
no,
Cody.
I'm dead serious. So
Yeah.
on Saturday,
No, yeah, they do. They do.
treat a bobcat. It was only like 100 yards off the road. So I caught it with my older dogs who were doing awesome. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go get my younger dogs. So I put the older dogs up. I'm going to go take my younger dogs down there, convince the bobcat to jump out of the tree, and then we'll run again. And so I get down there, and the cat had already come down the tree, and it was only like 10 minutes. So like never happens. And they couldn't pick up the track at all. And so I went and got my old pup trainer Ryder. I brought him down there and we did a huge circle around this tree, and he never picked it up either. I'm like, that makes no sense at all. So unless the cat like jumped into like several other trees and just stayed up in the trees, like I think that thing just turned off his scent and walked away. It made no sense.
Cody's talked about it, about his dog's running a bobcat, and then he's on the road, and the bobcat crosses the road, but sees him.
Mm-hmm.
And after he's seen him, the dogs couldn't hardly trail it anymore. So
You heard it
I
here
got a
first
phone
on
call.
Freecasting. Bobcats now turn their scent off. Not just lions. Can you guarantee it, Benny?
I can guarantee it.
There you go.
Rick Dickerson and I had a bobcat run across the highway in front of us. We unloaded the dogs, and that was that.
Never trailed.
That
The
was
end
that.
of story. We spent 35, 40 minutes everywhere. The dogs looked at us like, hey, this is a nice roadside stop.
Yeah.
well, I
But
told you about
I gotta-
when we called
ahead.
the lion. When we called the lion
Yeah.
in, my grandson and I were out calling coyotes, and we had dogs in the box, and we called the lion in, and he's the one who seen it. We were fixing to shoot the trout. The call had been going off for a long time. We were fixing to shoot a rock. I wanted him to shoot his gun. I said, well, shoot, let's pick out a rock over there. And he calls me Tita. Tita? That's a lion right there. And that lion had come into that call. So I said, let's go get the dogs. And we went and got the dogs. And that lion just walked off. And we trailed that lion all the way back around. We got back up on the hill watching the dogs trail back around. That lion made a big circle, came right back up where she was almost. And then when she got up there and she looked around, instead of just, walking and trotting, she just started sneaking down the side of that mountain. And when those dogs hit that, they couldn't hardly trail anymore.
Crazy.
So I
There's
think,
something to it.
and Cleve, and I was listening to that on Houndsman XP, and Cleve said if you pay attention to their tracks, they shorten it. When they start sneaking like that, they shorten their stride. And so when they shorten their stride like that, that's when you can tell that it's going to be really hard to trail them. That they're sneaking. They do that, and that's what I always thought is right before they lay up, right before they bed down, they go to sneaking, and they'll sneak, and then they bed down, and then that's when it's hard to trail. And I look back on it now, and I think, how many times did I screw up? When that lion was bedded down right in there somewhere, and I picked those dogs up and moved them, thinking, well, it's a lose. We need to go up on top or go through a saddle or what, the things you think about when you have a lose, about where to move the dogs. But
I said this exact same thing the other day, Trevin. If a lizard can change his color, why can't a cat do this with his scent? Why can't he? He's doing something. He's doing something. Too many old timers have said it. Too many new people have said it.
Well, where's the scent glands on a cat? Is
That's
it
what I was just
above-
thinking. Yeah.
There, yeah, I'm gonna have
It's
to pull
above
one of
their
the hides
wrist,
out.
right?
I'd imagine.
Yeah,
I have no
Their
idea.
legs, armpits, probably like a coon.
I
I
think
have
it's
no idea.
It's,
Well,
right there, right behind the right.
So, if
they got
they
that little
come-
nodular
so-
pad that sits higher. I think it's right below that.
If he comes up on his toes, that's bringing that gland farther off the ground.
I also
If he
wonder
comes
if it's like, like it's so, they probably release more scent when they're stressed, like humans do. Cortisol, like you're stressed, your body's like creating cortisol or whatever, stress hormones.
Mhm.
Maybe they're just like totally calm themselves down so they're not releasing any hormones or anything.
They were also talking about when they jumped a lion out, and me and Keith Wilkerson caught a tom back over here years ago, and after he jumped, we couldn't trail him anymore.
That's
And,
after being in the dirt.
And they talked about that also. Steve did, saying that I think it was Steve Smith said, "Have you ever noticed that when you jump a lion out, or when a lion jumps out, that his mouth is always closed?" And
yeah.
I don't know. Mine usually don't fall out with their mouth closed.
Well, they also say when
I'm not going to
it's hard to-
guarantee that.
it's hard to. They also say that if a lion runs across the road, it's hard to catch them too.
I heard
When they
about
see
Okay,
you,
well-
they run across the road.
I got a phone call late one night. A buddy of mine, his dogs had trailed all day long, and they caught a tom lion in a crack in a rock. And the crack went farther down in there, and the lion was straddle a ledge down in there. And where the dogs came in, they had to slide down through there and slid right into that lion. And he was shredding dogs. He had dogs that were torn up, dogs that were missing. He ran up there and saw that lion doing that, and he pulled his pistol and just shot right in the middle of that lion's back. That lion crumpled. There's blood everywhere. I went the next day. He said, "Hey, I need some help. I've got dogs scattered, and I've got crippled dogs, and this lion's wounded, and it's in this hole of this rock, and I don't know how to get in there." So I got there the next morning I drove 5.5 hours that night.
Oof.
I get there the next morning, and I find out where that lion, it's on the edge of the bluff, and over here on the side, there's a hole. So I climb down the bluff, and I can't fit through the hole. So I say, "Hey, you're going to have to come get through here. You're skinnier than me." So he went and got a tire tool out of his pickup, and he chiseled in that rock where he could get in there, and that lion was not in that hole anymore. And so I got down to the bottom, and there was one spot of blood on the ground way down below that bluff. And one dog barked one time on that spot of blood. And we looked for 4.5 hours. And this was a tom lion. And he didn't have to sneak off because Wes had taken all of his dogs and gone home, and he was out looking for the rest of the dogs till he found them. So, the lion wasn't under duress. I guess he had a bullet hole in him, but he wasn't dead. And we never found that lion. And I crawled in every single hole in that country and in those bluffs that I could find. And that lion never materialized. 6 months later, I asked him if he'd ever seen that lion's track again. He said no. But he still never left any scent that those dogs could smell and acknowledge 8 hours later.
That's crazy.
Wow.
There's so many factors that we'll just never know. Like how
would you even study that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's no way to study that unless you had a nose like a dog.
You'd have to have a scent
Right.
detector that measured how strong it was and how weak it
Mhm.
was.
Maybe we can get some government funding to do a massive study about this. We got to get to the
Grant.
bottom of it.
Let's get a
Let's
grant.
talk to Elon.
I'll call Trump back if you want me to.
Do it. Yeah.
So that's I forget what department it was. They spent millions of dollars on trying to make a device that would detect scent like a dog, and they couldn't get
Can't do it.
they couldn't get near as close to what the the strength of a dog's nose is. It's just nature has its little secrets, and we'll never know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we started talking about gear and prepping for dog hunts and went into lion scent again. And worming and heartworm. Rattled. I don't know.
Sober again.
We started off good. Then it just.
Well, when y'all are talking about gear, radios and all that stuff, you're just talking way over my head. I mean,
well, that's why we have a podcast about it, alive, so we can educate.
You notice I just sat and listened. I was getting educated.
And this is coming from a guy that brings a horse trailer load of equipment with him to do a podcast in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, I think you're a gear guy, Brett. I'm not.
Yeah, he's a gear guy.
Well,
YouTube gear.
What kind of computer do you have? Like, I know you had like a custom computer made.
I have a Mac Studio.
Yeah.
Oh,
computer. It's a square box that has that.
Man. Got all this stuff.
That M1 chip in it, I think is what it is. Is that right? But I spent years editing video on cheap computers, and that's just
hard.
It's hard. It's slow. So
I finally upgraded the RAM in my computer, and that helps a little bit, but it's still not great.
I have 500. Well, what do I got? It's maxed out. I went and had them when I ordered. I ordered it from where'd I order it? I forget now, but I talked to them. I had them max it out, and then I got a big. My screen is a great big curved screen for my old man eyes.
I know when I'm down here in Phoenix, I just using my laptop, and that's why you always see me like looking over. At home, I got my big TV, my screen on my desk. Especially when you're editing, it helps when you're editing for sure.
Yeah, it's, and it's a hobby of mine, trying to learn how to, make better and better content that's more pleasing to people to watch. So,
yep.
So you're a gear guy, just not when it comes to hunting.
Radios. I don't know much about it. I remember my grandfather had a CB radio in his car, 21 channel. Is that right? And then I remember when he
old one with the turn dial had the
23 channel or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I remember when they got the 40 channel. Yeah, then they got the 40 channel. I thought, 40 channels. And I remember sneaking out there and playing in his car, and him telling me not to run his battery down.
Benny, you going night-night? Is that what you're trying to do right now? You're trying to get off?
2:30 coming up quick.
How's work, Benny?
You guys have a good evening.
He guaranteed.
Hey, Benny. Talk to you later. Take care. No fights at work, okay?
Yeah.
Leave the spirit home.
See.
Hey, Brett, I had a question about your solar setup in your trailer.
Yeah.
So is that something like you bought through Harbor Freight, or what is that? Like, or is it a custom built setup?
Yeah, I bought each part. I mean, I got a 100 watt solar panel on top, and I probably could use a bigger solar panel, but we get a lot of sunshine down here anyway. Yeah. And then I have a charge controller. I forget the name of it now. Sunspot charge controller. And then I have a what do you call it? Inverter? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, inverter.
So I can make AC. And then I went ahead and I paid a lot of money. I bought a lithium ion 12 volt battery for it, big one. It cost $1,000, but
is it lithium ion or is it LiFePO 4?
Oh hell, I don't know.
Probably LiFePO.
It's what the battery.
How heavy is it?
It's light. It's real light. It doesn't weigh hardly anything.
He's gonna pull one right out from his drawer right now. Look at him.
I built a battery battery box.
I built it.
He's got everything right around him too.
Well, I'm in my workshop, but yeah, this has a 50 amp hour LifePo 4 battery, and it's pretty light. But this thing is super handy for camping and stuff.
But they're not
And I
cheap.
put lights on it. Oh wait.
Gotta charge it.
So I want to set up my trailer similar to what you got
Lights
there,
work.
Brett, but I want to be able to plug in a or have enough batteries to run. I guess got this little Chinese diesel heater now.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to run that in my wall tent overnight and then be able to charge the batteries during the day.
You can,
Without
I mean,
having to run a
they've got
generator.
all the formulas. You can get online and size everything quarterly, and then find out what that little heater draws,
Okay.
and then it'll it can tell you how much. That's what I see. I built. That's kind of how I got into YouTube. When I lived off grid, I built my solar system for my place up there, and you measure how much sunlight you get regularly, and then how much you're going to use, and then it size your solar panel accordingly, and your battery storage, for whatever you need.
Yeah.
With Black Friday coming up, it's a good time to buy batteries
Oh.
and stuff.
Yep.
Absolutely. And
There's a
coffee.
lot-
And coffee.
And
So,
coffee. Coffee.
Should I
makers.
be? I don't know if you guys know anything about batteries and stuff. Should I just buy the marine RV battery from
That
What's your
deep
budget?
cycle, a deep cycle
cycle
battery.
from Napa, or should I
Yeah.
go buy a nice
So
good battery?
If you can buy one of these, I mean, if you want to spend the money, buy one of those ones like Nicholas is
Yeah.
talking about.
I highly recommend the LifePo 4 batteries because they are like a fifth of the weight of a normal deep cell,
Yeah.
and they're fully like you can flip them upside down. They're not going to leak out or anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
What's the price difference?
So I got a 50 amp hour last year on Black Friday, and it was like $120.
Oh,
Okay.
This
the
one
brand-
I paid $1,000 for.
Well, that's the thing. You can spend as much money as you like. There's different brands, and you probably got a really nice one. Like it's probably going to last a lot longer. I got the
Better
brand
last
I
like
got
10
is
times longer.
Okay,
probably
so
yeah.
I'm also thinking about something that I can throw in the panniers when I go on horseback or muleback and
Yeah, they
camp out.
make all
and charge
sizes of
callers.
them.
How much that diesel heater that you're talking about? How are you going to fuel it? I mean, if you go in on your mules or whatever.
Oh no, this is just for like camping. Like when I for example, next week the wife and I are going out to near Ely here in Nevada because she got drawn for a bull elk tag, and I just got a couple marine batteries that I'm gonna run it with, and I was
that's
just wondering,
happy
like,
life, happy wife stuff.
Yeah, so instead of having to run the wood stove and take this tent that I just bought in and getting a stove jack put into it, I was wanting to just plumb it in through the front door kind of thing.
I pack
Go
a-
pee then, the door's open.
I can't
I pack
imagine
a
that the
wood
diesel
stove.
heater would have much current draw. It's probably
So-
not much.
What about
it
on My
takes-
Buddy? One of those little My Buddy with the propane.
Well, I just want to run it all night, and those things run on less than, I think it's like a quart, which is just over a quarter of
Oh,
a gallon
wow,
a night
really?
of diesel.
Yeah, those things
So-
are nice.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
and another buddy that I took out with me scouting a couple months ago, he had borrowed one from his father-in-law, and a gallon of diesel lasts us, I think, 3 or 3.5 nights.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I'm gonna look into
Now you got
those.
Brett looking.
So
Hey,
and what
Brett,
we were doing is we were
they're a
just
bit
running
safer.
off of one of the deep
They're a bit
cycle
safer
batteries.
than buddy heaters too.
Are
Like
they?
monoxide
Exactly. Yeah.
wise.
So
Yeah.
you just set it up outside and you run the heater duct into the trailer or into the tent, and all you're getting is like it'd be like the heat coming off of a radiant heater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And
how
there's
come
no
you're against a wood
combustion.
burning stove just because of the stove jack in your tent? or-
Well, I mean, it's so windy out here, right? So a lot of times you'll wake up in the middle of the night, the wind's blowing, and it blows the smoke back into the tent. And then you also have to get up in the middle of the night and stoke it. So
Well,
traveling with
you
wife.
got to get up cold in the morning. You got a good enough sleeping bag where you sleep warm,
Yeah.
but you got to get up cold in the morning and
Exactly.
get it going again. Yeah.
So I mean, I've got a wife and 3 kids, and I like to take them with me. So I'm trying to set up so that I
They're
can take them
comfortable.
and not
Yeah.
worry about them.
Exactly.
Um,
No, it's a good idea.
Because myself, I mean, I'll just take a cot, and I got a nice canvas bedroll with a foam pad in it, and then I've got a elk hide that I had tanned from one of my elk that I shot, and I just throw that over me, and I'll go to
You stay
sleep without even burning the stove.
Yeah.
So, and I'll get up at, an hour before I want to leave, start the fire, get it cooking, or,
Yeah.
get it going, cook breakfast, and then leave. But having a wife or kids with me, I want to keep them comfortable.
My sleeping bag is kind of like that battery I bought. I found the best one I could because I got tired of getting cold, and I think they climbed Mount Everest with this thing.
Nice.
But it stays warm. I've never been able to zip it up all the way. I have to vent it. It's real, and of course it's down, so it's real lightweight.
Yeah.
And then I
Do you
have
know
a
what?
can. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you know what kilowatt rating your heater is?
It's a 8,000.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like
So
it just runs off 12 volt, 3 amp hours. 3 amps. So, which is basically like a phone. So yeah, you probably don't need a huge battery for that.
Yeah. So I've got 2 marine deep cycles that I was going to take, and then I've got a solar charger from Harbor Freight that works. I mean, it's
Yeah.
nothing impressive, but it'll probably charge 1 battery back over the day in a day's time.
Well, I bet
And
they're
then,
good now. I mean, back
yeah.
when I bought all my stuff, it wasn't. It was quite a while ago, and I bet they've improved leaps and bounds.
I'm sure, yeah. So yeah, and then I'm going to take a little Coleman 2,000 watt generator as backup. Just trying to cover all my bases.
Yeah, I've got that I carry in my trailer also, one of those little Honda, was it 2000 generator?
Yeah, this one's probably the Chinese version of that.
Yeah. I had one at camp. The reason I bought another Honda, I had one that lasted me 8 years at camp. I ran that sucker a lot,
Yeah, the Honda Whispers or whatever they are, they're fantastic little suitcase generators.
And quiet.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Yeah, on our deer hunt in September or October, I'm sorry, I ran this little Coleman camp generator, and I was running the fifth wheel, and it ran. Let's see, I want to say it holds a 1.5 gallons of gas, and it would run the trailer with the heater and everything for a day and a half. Just using it at night before we went to bed, shut it off, wake up in the morning, start it back up, and then run it for 2 or 3 hours in the morning while everybody's getting ready. And
I
had to.
Cousin's 3. He has 1,000 Honda. I stole it for bear camp when I did all that stuff, and I think 1 gallon it ran for 7 hours.
They're real efficient. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
it ran
wish
everything
Harbor
I
Freight
needed.
Still made them. I bought one of those little tailgater. What it is like a weed eater engine, and it's got a 3/4 gallon fuel tank from Harbor Freight. They stopped making them a couple years ago, and I wish they hadn't, because that sucker was so handy. If it was about 2 car batteries set side by side, and maybe about 2 inches, 3 inches taller. It'd fit in a toolbox easy, and I would use that when I'm out camping to charge the dog collars at night. So I'd start that sucker up, plug all my collars in, and run all night, and it never used a full tank because it's not running much, right? It's just basically idle all night.
Jeremy, that's exactly what I have. I have it in my truck.
Jackery or something?
Hold it back up, Jeremy.
That's exactly EBL.
Okay.
That's exactly
those
the
are
same
cool.
one I have. And then I'll put it in a pannier and take it with me. That way I can charge my phone and charge my I don't charge my collars. I always run my collars at 2 minutes, so they last for a long time.
And I've got a 100-watt solar panel for it too.
Yeah,
Nice.
That's that EBL. Matter of fact, they sent it to me. I've even advertised it on my Born 100 a few times.
Yeah, my battery box is basically like the DIY version of that. It's kind of what I was going for.
Just built it yourself.
I posted a link to the battery I bought. They're $130 on Amazon right now. And honestly, that thing would run your diesel heater for days. You wouldn't have to worry about it. Yeah.
There you go, Rowdy.
You could even get, you can get a 20 amp hour battery, the same type of battery, and they're like this big. They're
man,
they're great. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'll have to buy one.
Yeah, I want to get a diesel heater. I've been using one of the Buddy heaters, and it works fine, but it's not the same. And you run in your tent, and everything gets all everything's wet in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
you know,
I'm going to look at those diesel heaters.
makes you sleep a little better, but yeah, not ideal.
I'm going to go set a camp up is what I've been planning on doing. Last time I went up there and I hit a lion track and then I got a phone call on a kill. But there's some country back up there that's real remote and it's hard to get to. A lot of that kind. I mean, it's I think it's BLM. It might be forest right there, but the access to it is through private, so it's hard to get to.
That's always nice.
Yeah, so I can set up a camp back in there, and it's real good lion hunting back in there. Try to get out of this stinking dry desert for a while.
Get in some good country.
Yeah, better country back up there, back where it's not a long ways from where I used to live up there, and I know it pretty good. I know how to get around in it.
Hey, Brett, this guy says so he could jumpstart his mule. You want to talk about jumpstarting mules at all? Brett knows how to jumpstart a mule.
Is that the finger thing we were talking
With
about
the
earlier?
With a TT-15.
I've had to do that 2 times to mules. That they you just
So they
take that.
respond to that?
Oh yeah, you better know it. You
It gets them going.
take that collar and put it underneath that britchin, stand back and hit that button, and they go now.
Stand back is the key.
Yeah, don't be on their back. Don't be on their back. That could be dangerous. But
I've heard guys shocking snake bites too.
I have too. That's
I've
right.
heard of that.
Yeah, I
Now
forgot
you bring
about
it
that.
I have too.
What do
Yeah,
you
I
like?
forgot too.
You turn the shocker all the way up and you hold that dog down and put
that
your
do?
And
prong on
muzzle-
each
and
side of the
muzzle him.
bite.
You
Yeah.
need those long prongs that stick, the real long ones.
Yeah, and you better have that dog tied down pretty tight, but
So
What
I'd
is that supposed to
imagine
do,
it
though?
would
Supposed to
contract the muscles,
neutralize
right?
the venom.
Yeah, contracting the muscles is what I'm picturing.
And it
Yeah.
would
Wonder-
push it out.
Wonder if you could do that with like a TENS unit. You know what I mean? A TENS unit, it's got those little electrode pads like for muscles. You can put
Oh,
on your
and
muscles.
and your muscles go like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, I've had that before. Huh?
Wonder if that
I
would
don't
help.
know. I don't know.
I think Anderson's hitting on old Rowdy there. What's going on in this show?
Let's see. Make a lot of videos with Cody King Bobcat. I'd like to watch the coon hunts.
My wife
You know-
brought me dinner.
Cody's going to come down. I forget when, but he's going to spend several days down here, and I'm going to take him some places where I know there's pretty good bobcats, and we're going to test his dogs here in this desert. If he catches bobcats out here consistently, man, I'm getting rid of some dogs.
Well, I don't know. His dogs had a hard time catching lions for a while until they started catching lions, right?
He had to convince them to run a lion in the first place. They were so broke that all they would run was a bobcat, and he had to convince them to run a lion.
But didn't he have a tough time in Mexico about a month ago?
Yeah, he had a lions, doing things that lions do, I think. Walking back
Turning
over
their
their
scent off.
tracks, probably turning their scent off, walking back over their tracks, and the things they do. I've trailed. With the first time it ever happened, I was riding down a trail when I lived up at camp, and we were just trailing along. I found a big old nice track on the trail, and man, the dogs were just trailing and whipping their tails and just moving it, and then it moved off the trail and went back up on this ridge about probably a quarter a mile, and they trailed up there, and that just disappeared. Just couldn't trail anymore. And I looked and I moved dogs around. Nothing. Walked back to the trail that we were on, took off, and I had a dog behind me, Lily, that Lily dog of mine. Pretty soon she was behind my mule. Woo! She opened up behind me. That lion had walked up on that ridge, I guess, and just looked around for a while, and then came straight back over her tracks and went right back down, hit that trail again, just going down, following the path of least resistance. He was going somewhere. She might have heard something up there, or he heard something up there and wanted to go check it out, and then just went right back over his tracks to the trail. We still didn't catch the lion. I trailed to a kill, to an old kill, and that lion went back and checked an old kill, and then I lost it. It got to be 2:00 in the afternoon, and
Yeah.
typically that's when things just stop.
You think he went up there just to see if something was behind him or heard
I can make
guys?
up all kinds of stories about it. I think, lions probably just walking through the woods, whatever, and probably heard something or seen something and thought, well, I'll go up there and check it out. And whatever happened, he didn't see what he wanted to or whatever, and he just wanted to get back on that trail and keep going the way he was going, and kept on going.
I got on a little, this was 3 years ago. I got on this little female lion down here, and the dogs were back trailing her for about, I don't know, it was a long ways they back trailed her. And I finally found a track, and I got them turned around going the right way. We trailed her all day. It was probably 5-6 hours of trailing, and she did a complete circle. And if I would have let the dogs back trail her for another 300 yards, they would have cut 5 hours of trailing off of her.
She just went right back to where she was.
Yeah.
Handler
She-
error.
Yeah.
You never know, though. You
Oh man,
you don't know what they're doing.
I caught her track, and I was like, "Oh man, we gotta turn the dogs around." We turned them around, and then she made a complete circle, and then instead of being on one side of the wash, she went to the other side of the wash and went back up the canyon.
That's what they always talk about is those females. You trailing a female, you don't ever know. She's just wandering around everywhere. Usually Tom has a destination. He's got an idea where he's heading.
Yep.
And
Mama's exercise ball.
So the lions that you think
It's
turn
not
their
a
scent
club.
off,
It's
do you
not
think the
propaganda.
females do it more than the males or vice versa?
I don't know.
Because what's stinkier? What's going to be stinkier?
A
Big old
Tom.
Tom should be stinkier, man.
You
They
would
just
imagine.
If they're scratching and pissing on their feet, squirting on their feet, yeah.
they're telling the world they're there. They want everybody to know they're there.
Yep.
Huh.
Hard to turn your scent off if you're
Yeah.
covered in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's why my theory of maybe they produce a different scent they release.
Could
I don't
be
know.
that
Maybe they can
changes.
travel through portals.
For my
Have you
truck?
Ever thought
There
about
you
that?
No,
a
no,
different
this is for
dimension. They
Mama's
go to a different
workout.
dimension.
Yeah, like Bigfoot.
Different dimension. There you go. Yeah, it's for that.
That's my next shirt.
Different dimension.
Oh, that'd be a cool shirt. A lion like going through a portal.
Yep.
Be sick.
You don't turn the scent off, he just leaves.
Yep.
Before I ever heard about turning their scent off, matter of fact, if you might look at some of my older videos, I think I even mentioned it. I said, well, I'm on another one of these flying lions. You trail them for so far, and then they get somewhere and they sprout their wings out and they just fly away. You can't trail them anymore.
That's
Skinwalkers.
one of those
Maybe they
points
turn
where it
into
was bedded
foxes.
down and you're within 100 yards of it.
There's no telling how many I left like that. I look back on it now, and I didn't learn it until late. I didn't learn it until like 3 or 4 years ago. And I was with Mike Root, and I was getting so impatient. I just sat there and I thought, man, we need to move those dogs. We need to move those dogs. And he kept telling me, no, just wait. Let's just wait. Let's just sit here for a while and wait.
Yeah.
Make
All
some
right.
coffee, eat some peanut butter off a spoon, and
I made him some coffee one time up there on the side of the mountain. We were up there, and I carried I caught a little jet boil. What's it called? The little bitty one.
Yeah.
I got a little pouch from Mountain Ridge Gear that jet boil fits perfect in. And we were up there, and the dogs were trailing. We had some dogs trailing down the canyon, and we were just sitting up there listening to them. They were having a hard time with it. And I said, how about a cup of coffee? He said, oh, I'd love to have a cup of coffee right now. I said, I'll make you a cup of coffee. You can make some coffee up here? I said,
you're
yeah.
the
He
hero.
was just in heaven, man. Because he is that man can drink coffee. You get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and drink coffee until 7 o'clock in the morning before you leave.
And I would be so wired. I'd just be vibrating.
I mean,
I
in
can
his
only have a
coffees,
cup a day.
you ever watch the Beverly Hillbillies with Ellie Mae Clampett make that coffee that pours out like tar? That's about what his coffee's like too.
That's because
Man, that would
he
wreck
just keeps adding. He just keeps adding more
And just more grounds to it.
until it's high enough.
Yeah, He's fun.
That
That's
was
one of
like
the funnest
Casey's
guys I've ever
coffee
been
at the
around.
rendezvous.
What's that?
Mike Root.
That was a Casey's coffee at the rendezvous.
Was it very
I
strong?
finished off that coffee and I went to take a swig and it felt like just mud.
In the bottom.
Yeah, it was tar.
I told him, Mike called me the other day. He said, I took that pack string in and packed all the trail cruise equipment out
Mm-hmm.
up there. And he called me and asked me if I could do it and everything. And I said, sure. And he said, I'll pay you. I said, Mike, I said, don't worry about it. So I went up there and packed it all out. And he called me the other day. He said, well, Forest Service hasn't paid yet, but I'm still going to pay you. And I said, Mike, you don't have to pay me. He said, I really want to. I said, Mike, I made a video out of that and I made $400 on that video. Oh, okay.
Nice.
So he didn't worry about it
Getting
anymore.
paid on the back end.
Yeah, I knew it was worth the trip. So it was work though. My gosh, packing 5 mules like that, that's nothing
I
but
used
work.
to do that for a living. I'd pack trail crews around a bunch because I worked for a pack station before I got into fire.
Yeah.
That's my favorite job in the world. If I
You
could do
loved it?
that, have a retirement and health benefits, that would be what I'm doing right now.
Man, it's hard work.
I loved it.
It's hard
Yeah.
work. Jeez.
Oh
Louise.
yeah, yeah.
We got up there in that old rough country and it was just work.
Yeah.
I liked
thought it
my
was-
one pack mule carrying just my stuff on it and being able to just keep going.
I thought it was pretty
packed-
cool to see all those mule guys helping out during the Hurricane Helene.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, they couldn't get any. That was like the only way to get supplies in. I thought that was pretty badass.
And did you ever see those pack trains they had? Those guys
Yeah.
were good. I mean, things was up high and tight and
Yeah.
and those guys were real packers. I'm an amateur now. I'm not one of these guys that can pack a piano across the wilderness.
I packed a porcelain throne one time. Packed it 12 miles in.
Did you really?
Miles. Yeah.
Crazy.
So there was it's called bear paw. So what it was is a camping resort in the middle of the not wilderness. I guess it's national park back there in California. So we would resupply them every week, sometimes 2 times a week if they had a big group in. So I'd take anywhere from 2 to 8 mules at a time, and if we had more than about 6 mules, we get a second packer. So I was the main packer for the pack station, and that was my main thing other than packing people around for pack trips. And yeah, so a 12 pack of beer weighs 10 pounds. A case of beer, well, this is back when you could get it in the little, whatever they're called, right? The little plastic things that you can get a 6-pack in.
Yeah.
So you get a flat of beer, a case, right? And so we would pack mules. You could fit, I think, what was it? And that's trying to go off memory now. You could fit 5 of those per panniard, and it ended up being almost, let's see, 12 was 10 pounds, so 5 be. I'm bad at math. Anyway, so
50.
50 pounds aside, and then we'd throw liquor and everything. And so we had big plastic boxes that were stiff enough that they wouldn't glass and stuff wouldn't get broken in there. We'd pack eggs in, just all their food and everything.
Top
And,
packs. Did you put top packs and
It depends. Yeah. So a lot of times we had top packs, like we'd do linens for them. All right. So we'd pack in fresh linens, pack out their old linens every week. And yeah, one time they broke their toilet back there, and I packed them in a brand new toilet.
so you throw box hitch, double diamond? You pretty proficient at all that?
A box and a diamond. I never got into the double diamond because it never had really big or wide top loads.
Yeah.
But yeah, diamond for a bedroll on top was standard.
Yeah. That's all. I throw a 1-man diamond. That's about the extent of my hitches. But
Yeah.
just for my stuff, it's
I like
good
the guy on here who said he just has ratchet straps and he uses those. That's just sounds
That's
easy.
pretty ingenious.
I seen a guy. Matter of fact, he's kind of a goober on YouTube that uses carabiners, and you know,
Oh,
you can
yeah.
just you can run your lash rope through there and just run through the carabiners, and it looked pretty. You know, of course, it's not that authentic born 100 years too late stuff, but he did it fast, so it looked pretty good to me.
Nice.
Hmm. Yeah. There you go. There's some packing talk.
Right. Yeah, I've packed through tunnels. That was pretty cool. Crossing bridges, 100-foot suspension bridges.
Oh, no
not
kidding.
not suspension bridges. I'm sorry. 100-foot drop off between canyon walls. We did a lot of packing across granite faces there in California. The trails would literally be blown out of the side of a
Cut
granite
into
face. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's hundreds of feet down. That's the worst part about those trails in there. And it literally, if you fell off, there's no chance you're gonna
What
survive.
that guy say? Couldn't drive a spike up your ass with a 12-pound sledgehammer.
That's it. That's it.
How
So,
would they get the people in there? Helicopter?
They'd either hike or we'd pack them in on horseback. So
Oh,
they
okay.
could reserve us, and we'd go in there, meet them at the trailhead. We'd get there at 6 o'clock. They'd be there 7, 8 o'clock. We'd load them
So
up
you have
on
to have a
stock.
weight. You had to have
Did
a
you-
weight limit for people.
Oh yes,
No-
yeah. So
no
we could
fatties?
take up to like a 300 or the boss would do up to a 350-pound person, but that's because we had
Jeez.
one horse that could pack somebody that big.
Poor
And,
horse.
Did you say horses? Did you? I mean, did you ride horses and pack mules?
Yep,
Yeah.
mostly.
Yeah.
We did have some riding mules, smaller, just dead broke. You put a baby on them and they'd just follow in line.
My dad talks about. My dad used to pack a lot. Matter of fact, his name's Packy. He ran into a guy one time riding a mule and packing a horse. He talks about that all the time. He's 90 years old. He'll still tell me that story.
Yeah,
I ran into a guy
No,
one time that was riding a mule and packing the horse.
we'd pack a lot of our colts so that when they hit 2, we'd start packing them for that season, and then that end of that season, the boss would like to send them off and get 90 days put on them.
Then they're ready to ride. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the next season, then they'd set all winter, and then we get them back, and they just become packer horses, and we'd ride them.
Cool.
And I mean, my best season was, I think I calculated it up. It was just either right under or right at 3,500 miles.
No kidding. That's great. That's cool. That's what I want to do more of. I want to be able to have the time to take some long pack trips and go places, and
Yeah.
I enjoy that. Not 5 mules, just one mule, one pack mule.
Yeah, I mean, we would do full blown. We furnished everything but their personal clothes trips, and those we'd go anywhere from like a 2-day to 2-week trip for those,
Wow.
and we'd take them back different places, and we had all of our camp set up, our campsite set up so that we had grazing, and we'd put them near the drift fences so that if the mules wanted to go walk and they'd hit that drift fence, and they'd all just stand there by the fence.
Bunch
We'd
up.
get up in the morning and yeah, we'd put bells on our lead mares or our pack horse, and that way we could at least find them.
You just hobbled them all, and
No, we wouldn't hobble. We'd just turn them out in the meadow.
oh, you wouldn't hobble, huh?
Yeah. And so they had the drift fences there, so you didn't have to worry about them leaving. And I want to say depending on the location, they would always put the drift fence in the most advantageous spot, so that is either right at the edge of the meadow,
Right up, yeah,
or at like a pinch point where they didn't have to build a whole lot of fence.
yeah.
So that wouldn't be too far off the meadow where you grazed at night.
Hey guys,
I
I got
used
to get going.
Nicholas,
Nicholas?
it was good
Hey,
seeing
dude,
you.
thanks for the info, Nick.
No,
Yes, sir. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good hanging out with you guys.
I bug
Thank you.
Nick all the time to get on just to cover my ass right now.
My old jet
took-
mule, I used to tie him with a front leg.
Thank you, Nicholas.
Yeah, I'll see you guys
Stake
later.
him
Have a
out.
good night.
Yeah.
Just stake him out with a long rope, and I'd even tie him to a bush or something, but I've never done it. But they say you can just take that knot on the end of that rope and dig a hole about 12 inches and put it in there, cover it up, and then because it pulls at an angle, they can't pull it out.
You'd have to have a good broke horse for that. I mean, I've had some that I trained to drag a log. So I'd find a good solid log that is 12, 15 foot long, and it wasn't too ungodly hard to move for me. And I'd take it out there in the meadow. I was in a spot that didn't have a drift fence, and I was riding a Mustang, and I taught him to just drag that log around. So
That's
would
what's
drag
good
it over.
about those mules. They, you know, they won't hardly hurt themselves like that. They won't fight it.
Yeah.
They don't hit the end of it. I mean, the horses I've rode them, you know, they'd cripple themselves trying to get loose from it.
Yeah. Horses freak out over stuff.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I ride a mule too, is because when you're, like you said, when you're on that 100-foot face, I just feel safer. And I always say they can withstand benign neglect. You don't have to take as good care of them. Seems like.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell them I love you every morning.
No, and they don't. Every time buddy of mine, you know, we go packing, me and Juan, and every trip, the first night he'd have a horse that would try to colic. Always pack. Of course, we always pack Banamine, you know, and
we were getting into running a lot of Mustangs because they seem to colic less than the quarter horses.
They're tougher, yeah. I imagine they're closer to a mule, yeah.
Yeah, and one day the boss had this big, gorgeous thing. It was a quarter horse. His name was Walker. He had to bend 16 or 16 and a half hands. He just a big. If you think quarter horse is the big sorrel, blaze, white socks, just beautiful, and the goofiest horse ever. That thing would he's one of those ones that would find something to scare him. Well, he had been fine. Brett, how many times do you come across backpackers?
Oh man,
with packs on.
Yeah.
So
look like a monster anyway.
Exactly. They always thought the backpack was a monster. So he was good all summer, and this sucker just started getting goofy. He wasn't afraid of backpackers to start off the summer, but into the summer he started being afraid of them. The next year comes back, he's good for like a month, and then decides he's going to start bucking. So the boss decides that that's going to be his horse, because he would just really, really just travel out and walk. You could hit almost about a little over 4 mile an hour walk with that thing, or that horse. Well, the boss was going across one of those rock faces, and it was the biggest rock face going into resupply Bear Paw. Well, I was on a backpack, or on a pack trip, taking backpackers out. Well, that horse decided he was going to swap ends on that rock face and then run past the ledge side of all the mules. Jeez. Because he saw a backpacker come around the corner, and the boss got rid of him that week. He fixed him. And but yeah, so the boss said that his butt was touching the rock cliff over here, the horse's butt, and he swung his front feet out over that ledge. He looked down, and there was no ledge or no rock underneath him. All he saw was straight down. He thought he was going off that ledge. And then, going past fully loaded mules they're going to be about 3.5 foot wide, and the trail itself is only about 5 foot wide. So he's just skipping down the side of 4 different mules until he could get them stopped on that rock ledge, and then he walked him the rest of the way.
And when you're going down through there next to those mules, I bet there's no way you should grab a hold of their head.
I can't imagine how scary that was, but I'm pretty sure that the boss was crapping his pants.
Jeez.
So
I'd have got off of him.
Yeah. Yeah. Because usually we'll ride around, or we ride it, right? So we ride it so much that we got used to it. But then you get a horse that's going to do that with you.
Oh yeah.
It scared the crap out of him. I
Especially
don't know
on
how
the
he
side.
didn't fall off.
Out in the middle of a field's one thing. Side of a cliff or a mountain is another.
I got a phone that it's one of those old flip phones before is way back before iPhones even were a thing, right? So I need to take it in and get the pictures saved off of it. And I got pictures of that toilet. I got pictures of going through tunnels and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the Facebook post? This was probably a year or two ago. There was a lion hunter in Montana or Idaho, he found two dead stock animals. I think one was a horse, one was a mule, and they went off a cliff. And he went down there because he saw the skeletons.
Yeah.
Half eaten, buzzard eaten.
Uh-huh.
But it ended up being a guy was underneath the horses. He found a set of boots.
Oh
Jeez.
crap! No, I didn't hear about that.
Don't tell me stories like that.
Someone that went missing.
Yeah, someone that went. He was an out-of-stater. I don't know. They said he was from the flat country. Back
Now he's
east.
picking on me.
That
We live in
mule I got
Flatland.
now, Bonnie, she's a good mule. My biggest problem with her is she's always looking to the sides and not paying attention to where she's going like she should, like I think she should. And she hasn't made any mistakes, but you get on a trail, and I imagine you've probably ran into this too, that some of them like to walk right on that edge. They just get right on that edge. I guess the dirt's it's a little softer or something, and they'll walk right on that edge. And then she gets to looking around. I keep thinking, man, I hope she don't make a mistake. Just don't mess with her. Let her go. I don't pick at her. But
Sage does,
knock on wood, she hasn't made a mistake yet.
Sage does real good, except she's been doing real good, like extremely good. And the other day, yesterday or Monday, I pulled out some sunflower seed bags, and she never bothers her, but for some reason that day, maybe it made a different sound, or I spooked her with it, and she just she's controllable, but she just kind of took off on me a little bit, and I'm all dumping seeds in my mouth, and I got my reins are just hanging on my saddle horn, and then she kind of takes off on me, and I got real long reins, so I grab them and got them as high as I can. I got one hand full of, but I just usually grab one side and yank them horse's head or mule's head around, and she just kind of freaked her out. It just freaked her out of the blue. And man, it's been, when I first got her, she was a little bit skittish, but we didn't know each other. But man, just every once in a while, she does that weird. Or when I try to put the camera in front of her face, she gets a little bit weird. But other than that,
this Bonnie mule, nothing like that bothers. I got this little drone. They got a new drone called a Neo, and you take it off out of your hand, and it follows you and it videos you. And that thing sounds like a jet airplane, though. I mean, it's loud. And I took it off the other day to video myself, riding up the trail, and I took it off, and she looked around. She kept looking around, but she never panicked. She never did grab her ass and try to run away or anything. And that thing run, and I had it set on the close setting, so it's following me like 4 foot behind us. Woo! Going down through there. She never did get too excited. I haven't found anything yet that really bothers her. And
good.
I can't wait to. I haven't been able to throw a lion on her back yet, so I gotta.
I know it's that waiting game where you get really comfortable, and then all of a sudden, just for some reason, some little tiny bee flies at her. Who knows? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Man. Yeah.
They're animals.
I've rode all my life and everything, and I always sit right in the middle of them. I'm always somewhat prepared, I think.
Yep.
For anything that might happen, especially when I'm out there by myself.
That's a scary thing. Like, like Globe. When I go to Globe too, I'm usually by myself.
San Rafael's down by me, isn't it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think San Rafael's down by me.
Well, that's the biggest problem is when you get someplace and riding down trails and everything is usually pretty good, but you get someplace and those dogs trail, through a bad spot over there, and you're excited anyway, and you're trying to get to them or trying to get through to them, and you'll take chances you normally wouldn't take. Yeah. And especially if then you get to a bad spot and you got to lead for a ways, and you're leading, and then your heart starts beating hard and your lungs about to pop out, and you think, I think I can ride this mule through here.
Thank you.
I'll try. And that's probably the most dangerous thing you can do, is just not get too excited.
What I did Monday. That's what I did Monday. I went around, thought I'd take it easier way, and then next thing you know, I'm all the way up in a canyon. I'm like, man, and then sometimes when you turn around and have to come back down, you're like, how did I get through that? because
Well,
you're
just
concentrated on your listening and trying to just get up to where
Trying
you
to
can
get to them.
see.
Yeah, try to keep up with
Mhm.
them, and yeah.
just like Mike Root in his story, he had to bail like what was it, 3-4 mules off like a 10-foot ledge or something.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, Mike's.
He he couldn't get anything turned around. It was in a tight canyon. And he was going down, and there was a drop off at the end of it.
Hmm.
He had to bail. He said what was his problem? He had one mule get stuck underneath a dead log for a little bit.
Yeah, I can't remember, but he's got lots of stories.
I,
Guy's been
I
up
got
there doing it. Back in 19, it was 82, I guess, early 80s. He lived there in Cuchillo. Him and his wife, I guess it was his wife, might have been his girlfriend now or then. But I went up there and he was lion hunting up there then. Yeah, he had a bunch of little walker puppies there in the yard, and I wanted to buy one of those so bad, and his wife said no, he won't. He just soon hit one in the head to sell it. So where is he? Well, he's up there in those mountains. But you've been
Guys,
doing
I'm
it a
gonna
long,
bug
long
out.
time.
yeah.
I'm gonna leave.
I need to also. That's a good one, Chris. I enjoyed
Brett,
the
you
heck
said
out of
that an hour ago. I think you
I
were
know, and
gonna
I'm still
leave.
sitting here.
You out of here too, Jeremy?
Yeah, I got it ruined.
All
I
right.
better
Thanks for
go
coming
too.
on.
Thanks,
You guys,
guys. That was a
appreciate it.
lot of fun. A
A
lot
lot
of
of
fun.
information on
Good.
this one.
We'll see you
Alrighty,
next
guys.
time. Monday night. Just use that link, and if you've got time, stop in.
Okay.
I don't know. I might not be here Monday night, Chris. You have to run it.
You said that
Can you?
last Monday night.
I know. I got to go. My
All right.
my grandkids have a I don't know what it is. Something I'm supposed to go watch. So,
Sounds good.
all right, guys. We'll see you. Thank
See you,
you.
Brett.
See ya.
Well, guys, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Not bad. There we go.
2.5 hours. Hello, gentlemen. Minx, we're out of here. I think didn't you do this last time? Great show. A lot of
Well,
information.
It's only 7:30 in Nevada or California.
What? I don't know.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yep. It's
Yeah,
7:30
7:30.
there.
Yep.
Well, we started off with gear and prepper, and then we got into worms and parvo and packing,
Yeah. Well,
Chasing all
batteries,
squirrels.
into each other.
solar. I think when you get a lot of people on here, there's just a lot of information.
Yep.
So,
No, packing's one thing I still want to learn how to do.
yeah. I've never really. I always wanted to pack. I got all the gear to do it. I just haven't done it.
You can.
It's nice because you can carry so much with you, right? So on
Yep.
your back, you don't want to carry more than about 25, 30 pounds because then it just really kicks your butt when you're hiking. But
Yep.
when you got a mule, you can throw 200 pounds of gear on them.
Yep.
Yep.
I think that's gonna. You know what? Jared said we should do a packing show, and I'm like, shoot, man, I don't know nothing about packing. He's all either
Here, I
go.
got one. You take it.
So I'm gonna have to find somebody who can get on and
Brett.
Jared, Rowdy, you probably know just as much as Brett. I need to get a real good. What about your ex-boss there?
Mine, he passed away 2 years ago.
Well, that's awful selfish of him.
I know.
Try to get Mike Root. Hey,
needed
why
him.
don't you try to get Mike on? He's
Well,
probably
I
busy
know.
guiding.
I could
I
try.
happen to know the world packing champion of like 5 years running for mule packing.
That's what we need to do. Get that guy.
Yeah. It's a lady.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Even better.
Name's Brandy Montgomery. She's out of California there. So she goes over to Mule Days there in Bishop, right? So they
Bishop.
do a big pack competition. Yeah, I think she's like 5 years running now. She's world champion.
Maybe you know how to get hold of her?
Oh yeah.
Get hold of her. See if she wants to come on next week. We'll do a packing
Okay.
show. Sounds good.
Packing's
Then
huge in California. My sister, or not my sister, my wife's brother, he packed in Mammoth, I think. I don't know. But he's like Rowdy too. He got older and had a kid, and he's like,
Rowdy,
well,
are you getting in trouble from your wife right now?
No, my daughter's in here and
Oh.
she's playing around.
Another woman's name came up. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know how women are. They can hear that from three doors down.
Right?
Yep.
Who? Brandy who? What?
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds good, guys. Good show.
Yep.
Appreciate it. So yeah, maybe next week we'll do if you can get hold of her if she's interested in coming on, and I'm sure she has some stories and tell us maybe a little bit of this and that.
Yeah, she's
Absolutely.
got the gift for gab too, so she talks.
Perfect. Just
So
like
she
the
can-
rest of us.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right,
Have a
see
good
ya.
one. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Appreciate you guys coming on, listening. Lots of information tonight. Good show. Be back Monday on Brett's show, and we'll be back, of course, Wednesday. So anybody hunting out there, good luck. I know there's a bunch of deer hunts going on, and Missy's sending me some hazelnuts. I'm waiting on those. What else we got going on? If you're in Arizona, azwda.com if you want to join the Arizona Working Dog Alliance. So we're going to try to get some things going first of the year. Me and Jared kind of started it, and if we can get anybody else involved, it'd be good to go. What else? I think that's it, guys. These usually go on podcast, so it's either going to be on W or it's going to be on the Chris Watson Project or Freecasting. You look on Spotify or the Apple Podcast. Not real smart on the tech stuff. Anyways, I think we're good to go. Thanks for coming. We will see you guys next week. Always remember, guys, keep your powder dry and stay safe out there.